You know what I mean? Where are you calling from?
I actually live not too far away, as I understand it. I'm in Granbury, Texas. It's like 35 miles southwest of like Fort Worth area,
Okay. Yeah, one of those
close to like Weatherford and stuff, you know.
in the
Yeah,
middle,
yeah,
huh?
yeah. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I kind of went out there a little bit. When I first moved here, I was dating someone who was from Cleaver.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty close. Yeah.
Let me look. Let me look.
Hmm. It's
Yeah,
like really close to Cleburne, actually.
yeah. It's right next door.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it was cool because like I got a chance to like experience, you know, that and spent a few days out there or what have you and drove around, got to see a bunch of old haunts and whatnot and yeah, I just kind of assumed a lot of those because I'm looking right now. I mean, I've heard because I meet people from around that area all the time now. Not Cleburne, but like suburbs of Fort Worth, what
Oh
have you.
yeah.
And
Got a
I
lot
kind
of
of,
people buying up property there for sure.
oh yeah, are you kidding me? Like
Hmm.
everything in between Austin or everything in between San Antonio and Dallas, people are buying right now.
Oh
Everything
yeah.
in the,
Hmm.
it's gonna be it's gonna I would yeah an apocalyptic. No, I mean not apocalyptic, but like in some extreme sense, I can see it like becoming just like one big strip of civilization.
It basically almost is, man. Like from here to Denton and here to like HEB area, there's just nothing but construction. They're just like building up mixed masters and shit. So it's getting pretty crazy. So
Yeah, I think for a long time, Texas had like a lot of Texas money, and now a lot of people outside of the state are buying into it.
yeah, and wanting to get away from that like normal city thing, but it's kind of just making it that in the process, you know, one of those like unnecessary Ouroboros problems, you know. Definitely a
Oh
wicked problem.
yeah, oh yeah. Like my dad, he's from California, but he's been living in Northern Nevada for the last 15 years.
Hmm.
He's like always asking me questions about Waco and stuff because he's like interested in it, you know. And I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
if you're interested in it, then I mean, he's a little bit of ahead of the curve on a lot of things, so it's
Hmm.
just kind of a all right, it's going down for sure because he's
Right.
like, he's pretty like I guess like financially conservative, where like he's not going to do a bunch of risky stuff with money, so it's probably like a pretty safe bet, you know.
Right. Like to
So
just kind of hedge his bets, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like he's not doing like wacky stuff with money ever. He's always doing things that are like that's pretty smart. You know what I mean? Like
right.
he's really into storage units.
Oh, nice.
You
Okay.
know what I
Yeah, there you
mean?
go.
So if he's interested in like a development out in Waco, I'm like that's probably pretty safe.
I mean, they have some pretty beautiful places out there. We went to Cameron Park, this like beautiful like park to play disc golf one time. I was like really, really surprised just how like lush and just, you know, really like kind of thick, you know, it got. It was pretty cool actually.
Yeah. No, the beauty out here. You're a Texas native?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was born in San Antonio. I have spent some time in LA and San Francisco, like from, you know, just from like my old history. Like I actually used to act, so I did that from like 2002, 2006. I was on a show and then moved back out there like 2014 to 2016 to you know the what was it called Emeryville in Oakland, you know,
Mm.
and but nothing really, you know, I didn't really like anywhere as much as Texas. You know, just the people, just that southern hospitality, the food, you know, the I don't know, just the environment in general, just the vibe. It's a whole different vibe in California, and it has its merits and absolutely its pros and cons. You know, there's a reason it's like the fucking dream place. You know, but
Hmm.
yeah, just you know, when like family and friends are more of your goal instead of just kind of only doing your singular thing, then I feel like South is, you know, more where I'm, you know, kind of familiar with anyway. So
Yes,
right,
yes,
yeah,
100%. I think that's a lot of the appeal to leaving Southern California, particularly
yeah,
people wanting to go just kind of not just out east, but also south. You know, I always hear
yeah.
about like uh, Nashville and
Oh yeah,
Tennessee stuff. Like
Definitely where to be for certain kinds of music, for sure, and like just music production in general, like just so crazy popular there. It's like a definitely a hub. That and like Atlanta now too and stuff. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Now, I spent the weekend in Houston filming a bunch of drone footage with my buddy.
Oh,
And
nice.
I've been to Houston a bunch of times, but I haven't like stayed at someone's house and just like drove around twice, for 2 days. We stayed one night, and I was blown away.
Yeah. I've actually never, I'm the same way actually. Like I've driven through, I've seen, stuff there. I've never actually, stayed the night there actually. Like, so yeah, don't really have any memories of it, but definitely populated. I mean, is it more kind of like Austin where it's just kind of this hub of like everything that's like, a lot of options, a lot of cool shit going on, or is it more just like still, what the most populated city in Texas would, look like expectedly?
I think it puts Austin to shame.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
That's fun.
I think Austin has a lot of hype. I think Austin has a lot of national hype.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Houston is the real deal. Like, it's like, it reminds me a lot of LA. Like, a lot of like, not just like every, like the mix, the car culture, the driving, like just the way the city feels and how big it is too. It has like a lot of square footage and it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
So it has like this, like everyone's got in their car to do everything type of vibe, which is so you just see like, overpasses everywhere. When I came back to Austin, I was like, oh, this is a baby city. Like it didn't even feel like a city compared to Houston. Like my perspective going into these Texas cities was like San Antonio is kind of like the more historic city. Like it has all the Alamo stuff. It has like neat immigration stories and whatnot. Like a lot of German development there. Like at one point, like German was the most spoken language in San Antonio.
Whoa, that's interesting. Yeah.
Like
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so like that kind of stuff, and San Antonio I think has a lot of like factory stuff going on down there, and a lot of production and whatnot. And then Dallas is kind of that old Texas money, and I think kind of sets like the cultural and state precedent or stateside precedent. Like Dallas is like the national city.
It's like the bar, if you will.
Like all the people outside of Texas kind of get their Texas impression from Dallas and like the culture in Dallas and the money in Dallas and the business in Dallas and everything. And Houston is like that international city to me. Like Houston's where like has like that
like diversity.
Yeah, and it has that crazy
outside
Asian
influence.
New Orleans and stuff. So it has like a really neat mix going on. And LA is like mixed, but it's also like carved off. Like everybody, you can see a lot of the mix, but you got to drive through it all. Where like when I was in Houston, it was like everybody's on top of each other. Like everything's like swirled. So it was kind of cool. I mean, I'm sure it has like its pockets of like I know it has a Chinatown somewhere. I really wanted to go over there to eat food.
Oh yeah, I'm always down for any sort of Chinatown, any sort of like Asian culture in a place that's not traditionally Asian. Like I love that.
Houston has a massive Asian population.
That's what. Yeah, I do remember. I worked at an airport hotel in DFW, like inside of Terminal D, and there was so many. Like Korean Air and Japan Air and stuff started like coming into our terminal, and I think there was like 2 years in a row where Asian immigrants were like the most popular, like to Texas, like alone or something. I thought that was kind of surprising as well.
Definitely, they know what's up. They're going to Texas.
Yeah, that's true. They definitely know what's up.
They do. They kill it in the States. The Asian immigrants in the States always kill it.
I mean, for everything, man. For just style, just for media, for metal in some respects. I mean, man, they have like they just have crazy everything, man. They keep it weird for sure. Like, I think Tokyo is probably like my top. That's my top of line. Like most place I would want to live or at least visit. Like. Actually started
I can see you living there.
Yeah, could you? Well, thank you. I started like learning Japanese for a while. I was like getting really serious into it. I'm like, I'm gonna apply to a hotel over there. I'm gonna I'll just teach English, and we see how that panned out. But still, maybe one day at least take a visit or something.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't cut yourself off ever.
Right.
I think it's a shame to ever stop having goals, you know? Like
Oh yeah,
even
can't do
even
that.
my, yeah, like even my grandpa who passed away last year, he was like 92. He was like
Oof,
he was like always planning trips. He was like, I'm gonna go to
mhm.
Vegas and see the Raiders play. It's like, yeah, like yeah, that's simple, but it's like, you know, it's still the same kind of premise of like you're always
Yeah,
kind of like you know anything's kind of possible and you never really know what's like truly in store for you.
yeah,
And kind of the power to making things happen is kind of believing in certain visions, you know, like if
yeah.
you see
I
yourself being
agree.
somewhere, yeah, you keep that
Yeah,
belief going. And
give yourself that momentum, that motivation. Like kind of give yourself your own dangling carrot, or something like that, right? Like,
yeah, I mean that's how else he's supposed to I don't know, I don't think everything's totally random. I think when people are like in certain positions, it's like a pretty clear trail of how it happened, you know. I mean,
right,
every once in a while you have these weird serendipitous things that happen, but typically the person is kind of going that direction anyways, you
right,
know. Very rarely does someone get to like cut, you know, the line in some way where it doesn't make sense, because then it wouldn't work out. I don't think. I think the
right,
people who get what they want, like they kind of get what they want by becoming who they want like during the process, and that's almost kind
right.
of like what they are rewarded with is not like where they want to be, but they become who they are at that point, you know. And
It's like moving to like towards their own form of entropy or something, like like
mhm,
there's just kind of balance, like it's got to like settle in some way or something.
mhm,
Kind of
definitely.
see that.
Yeah, so you know, keep that dream alive if you wanna whatever you want to do in Japan is kind of what you should be thinking about. And
I would be happy
stuff
doing
like that.
exactly what I'm doing now, just playing some drums and listening to some killer music.
Yeah, see that dream sounds a little bit more alive right now than it did, you know, a couple minutes ago.
You are making me feel a little bit better. Thank you. That's perfect. Which is
Yeah.
really no surprise. Like this is actually a perfect segue. It's so fitting that your latest work is called Soothe, really, just because you're such a this like calming and like relaxing presence, in your own right. Like on Cam Every Day, in certain aspects of the music, the big chocolate elements as well, but also not to be not that it's not in Disfiguring the Goddess as well. Got some surprisingly beautiful moments like everywhere is far back as like Led to the Desert and Suffer Square. I feel like those could kind of slot in like very nicely with Soothe, in my opinion. They have that yeah, you agree as well, you think?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Right, they
No.
they have the crushingness that you give us, but they also have that characteristic use of those those unexpected effects that give those kind of like zen like moments, you know what I mean? So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it, man. I'm picking up what you're putting down is what I'm saying.
Thank you, man. I
Yeah, for sure.
it's funny you brought that up because uh, my friend who's into metal, he lives with my other friend who's
Mhm.
I know through music, like Big Chocolate side of stuff. Shout out to Crisley. Shout out to Kato.
Mhm.
And Kato is like into metal and whatnot. And I knew he'd be into Disfiguring the Goddess. And when Soothe came out, I was like, you gotta listen to the Soothe. You gotta listen to Soothe. And it took him a minute to like pick it up. He picked it up and he's like really, really picking it up. Like it has that that I don't know, like that chillness to it.
Yes, man. It's definitely like kind of a mood. It's a vibe like all in itself. And it's just like perfectly packaged. It's like 15 minutes or something. Like, I've literally listened to it to 4 times on the drive, like just from like here to Denton. It's like an hour and 10 minutes or something like that. But it's just so like kind of digestible like in full, you know what I mean? Like I mean like most of your stuff, but it's just got this nice kind of like roundabout way. A lot of the songs like even like either like bleed in or like complement the other and stuff. So yeah, it's very well done, man. It's personally I think it's my favorite. I mean maybe since Sleeper, like definitely since Black Earth Child, Deprive era, stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's something, man. You're onto something. I'm calling it right now. I think slam be it next big thing. You're a trendsetter, genre creator. So
Thanks, man. That's
yeah,
honestly where I'm trying to take it. Um, really trying to open it up by kind of breaking down certain barriers and norms. And I'm not like a new to this type of music or these types of energies or the
of
type of
course, right?
blending, but I'm also like, and because of that, I don't really have much tolerance for stuff that's not like within my taste, you
Right.
know. So I'm not really that influenced by like a lot of what you hear in extreme metal. There's a couple bands that I'm into, but I wouldn't say they're like I take inspiration. I kind of like more so just to like admire it and dig it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I don't really like take it into the stuff I'm doing. I take like other weird inspirations now, especially like post Soothe.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think this year is going to be huge for Disfiguring. I keep saying, and I firmly believe that this decade is Disfiguring the Goddess's decade.
Oh, I think so. I think so. I mean, it's definitely becoming like I don't know what the word is. It's like it's pervasive. Like right now, this kind of like all this weird different styles of metal. Like not like people getting caught up in all the different genres and stuff, but just people are just like you said, either not being influenced or taking influences. Be like, okay, well, what can we do to kind of like set it apart or something like that? Like whether it be just like a duality, like within the music, or even just like album art not matching or lyrics not matching like the traditional music and stuff. Like uh you know it's just something really, I think, shining right now. It's just a bunch of the weird different styles of metal. So I think you're definitely right. And
Thanks,
geez,
man.
yeah, I mean, you've been doing it since 2007, I want to say, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
that's insane, dude. I mean, just think of that. Like, you're gonna have stuff that's gonna be considered metal oldies soon. You're like you're one of like the OGs coming up pretty soon. Like
Hmm.
that
Especially in
new
like,
new generation of OGs.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially with like the whole deathcore movement. I feel like
Oh
I've
yeah,
never really felt a part of it, but I think I helped contribute to it in some ways.
yeah,
Like
of course.
some of the early vocal work and early vocal videos I know have probably inspired countless deathcore vocalists.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Shout out to all of them.
you can tell by the millions of views that they've catered. You know what I mean? So yeah, like definitely reaching people. So it's
Yeah.
awesome to see. And it's funny just like how many people you've probably inspired to do that same thing, or to even like just start a band or something. Like you're also pervasive in your own way. You know what I mean? Like Twitch, Discord, YouTube, like you're everywhere. So putting those good vibes out there, putting the different music out there, like on specifically Disfiguring the podcast. Just you've shown me personally bands that I didn't know, and I'm sure a lot of other people too, like pride themselves on their kind of like collection, like that collective memory of the good metal. And just man, like Resistant Culture. Like that's a band that was like even like old as fuck, and like I like never even heard them, or old as fuck. I mean, by
Yeah.
standards of what I've been listening to now.
Yeah.
Plague Widow. Never heard of those dudes. I mean, just
Sick band.
yeah. I mean, a lot of sick stuff. Like it's yeah, just you're doing good work. Is what I'm saying. So yeah,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
yeah.
I really, really, really appreciate it for
Oh,
sure.
of course, man. Of course. And everybody, if you have not checked out either on Twitch or YouTube, the Disfiguring the podcast, not only hilarious but informative. Even got a couple of interviews on there. Like it's a growing thing. Just like you kind of inspired me as well. It's like learn by doing. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of what we're all doing, right? Literally, a dude in headphones in his closet. So you know.
Yeah. That's really how it happens. Like if you want to sit around and think about how to make a podcast better or wait to get certain gear to make a podcast better, you're literally you're losing it because someone's going to be doing it with less than what you have and be figuring it out quicker than you in your own
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah.
And that's actually how I took the approach to Soothe as well, because that album was done for a while, and I kind of had this idea of like kind of coming out like with everything, like, you know, kind of like trying to get someone to do the artwork that was kind of more themed like how the older albums were done, like more illustrative and less graphical. And like I just had this one day. Well, I actually learned a good quote that says there's a couple ways you can say it. There's perfect is the enemy of good, or great is the evil of good. And
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's
I
so
have I have a
true.
really similar one too. Comparison is the thief of joy. I love that one too, right? Like trying
Yeah,
to, compare other things, just like, well, just take this as it is, right? In a vacuum. I think that's kind of important in certain respects too.
definitely,
Right.
definitely. So
Yeah.
like I heard that, I started thinking about it, and like within like 24 hours, I put Soothe basically into Momentum, and it came out 2 weeks later because that was kind of like the
Jeez.
window. Like I had the
Yeah.
video done for a while, and I had that channel we teamed up with to put it out, Slam Worldwide, which is like kind of
Mhm.
a larger underground kind of like slamcore, deathcore, beatdown YouTube channel, and
Mhm.
I had them like they wanted to do something with me for a while, and I was like, well, I'm gonna just like put it out there, and like I told my manager like, hey, I want to do this, and he's like, well, you can only probably do it in the next 2 weeks, otherwise we should wait till next year. And then Slam Worldwide wrote me back. I'm like, well, I have a date open in 2 weeks, otherwise you got to wait till next year. And I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And then I got my graphic artist Omar Orthographics, who did
Yes.
the yeah, he's
Yeah.
killing it right now,
He
and
is. Yeah. I follow him on Instagram right now. Like he just did
awesome.
a sick PlayStation logo. Like looks like crystal that I saw. Yeah. Definitely shout out to Orthographics. So.
Huge shout out to
Mhm.
Orthographics. Yeah, and it's kind of cool because like that moment where, because I've known him for a while and we've been friends for a while, and like, you know, frequent conversations. He's done like random bits of art for me here and there, but it's kind of just been like off a whim. Or
Mhm.
like, there's been a couple times where I've had to like recreate something, and like I'm like asking him if I could like, because he really knows his stuff with graphic design. I'm like, hey, can I get this like to be this size of an image and
Mhm.
not like it lose quality? And he's like, I'm just gonna recreate it, and he does it really quickly. So I
Mhm.
was literally planning on putting Sue out with like a like orange logo or some kind of colored logo on a black background, and just like as
Mhm.
basic as I could be. And I was doing it in like a browser-based Photoshop, and like he was like, "I'll do it." And then we both hopped on Discord, and I just watched him like create that art so quickly, and it was awesome. We were both like kind of in that flow state together,
Right.
and I think it complements the music so well because it's definitely like instead of like the more prior like illustrative death metal, it was kind of moving in like this like graphical kind of, you know.
This almost like industrial experimental. Yeah. Like even the color combo. Like I even actually wrote this down. Like I even wrote like not only the official video for Soothe, which kind of has like that like similar color scheme. Sure, but like the actual like chiseled look of the classic logo that he kind of gave it, like the more 3D kind of look. You can like just kind of barely tell it all kind of looks like flame kissed, or like it's like flame colors, like blue, orange,
Hmm.
yellowish, like very, very sick, man. Like awesome color combo. So yeah, killing it.
Yeah. Shout out to Ortho. And we like since then we have just been like super obsessed and also inspired by Disfiguring the Goddess. And
Hmm.
that's honestly a big key inspiration for Disfiguring is Disfiguring. Like it's one
Hmm.
of the things that really it's one of the most inspiring things for me to do it is like the thing itself. And
Yeah.
it's kind of weird how it's made that. I think other people who work with it kind of start to feel that, and Omar is definitely like absorbed like how rewarding being inspired by Disfiguring the Goddess is. Like he just like does things that come to mind, and they always look awesome, and like we're all stoked on them, and then we get to share it with the community, and the community gets hyped on all the stuff we're doing, and it's just like really keeps us going, but also like keeps us dreaming really big.
Hmm.
So we're really on a good thing right now, and you know it's awesome. Like I think we're like the way we're kind of approaching the future of Disfiguring the Goddess is definitely a really nice collab, and it's sick to have someone like that, like someone who's graphically like like how he is, like kind of
Hmm.
a graphic visionary artist type of director type of person, and how him and I are like really much on the same page with both like the overall vision, but also with like the foundation and the vibes going on. It just like it's really nice to like, you know, have someone like that in
just
play.
like seeing eye to eye, you know, seeing on that level. Yeah.
Yeah, because I got good visions for things, but I'm not good with Photoshop and I can't draw very well. So to be able to team up with someone who can, you know, fulfill that and fulfill it in a way where it's like, I really just trust him. Like he's always stoked because like everything we've ever done together, I've never told him to change a single thing. Like he just like sends me stuff. I'm like, this looks great. Like this is it. And he says like
you're like the dream client for something
yeah,
like that, you know? Like,
yeah. And he'll work with other people and like they'll have him change stuff forever. And I'm like, no, this is awesome. And I encourage it, you know, and I encourage that him to like, you know, feel confident in what he's doing. And if he's stoked on something, it's like, you know, I trust him, you know, I trust his insight and his vision and how he likes things to look. And like there's sometimes I'll be like, what do you think about this part of it? And he's like, no, that's definitely good. I'm like, all right, yeah, it's good. I think the only thing I've ever had him change was one time, like we made a Twitch layout and I was like, can we make this part like see-through, like so I could put things behind it? And he was like, oh yeah. So it was like just a functional adjustment. And so I you know, I think we're both each other's favorite people to work with because we talk all the time and we're both really, really fast and we never want to change anything the other person does. We just like it. And
it's badass.
Yeah, it's sick.
That's like a perfect person to have on your team. Team DTG.
Definitely. It's funny because we call it the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're you know, it's a growing movement, you know. We call it the team. There's people. It's basically open, you know. Like there's constantly open tryouts to be on the team. Just people who have like kind of we've been like working with are people who are just kind of naturally doing stuff that like we would want anyways. And I think that's why they do it. It's because like, oh, this would be cool. And they just start doing it and they're like, hey, this is cool. And then we just kind of like bring them on in the team. And it's just been like, I don't know. It's a great time. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the future. When is this coming live?
Well, I mean, if I go by the current schedule, I have three weeks, so this will be like I think exactly a month or something like that. Unless you want to push it forward, man, I can stay up. I publish it tonight if you want. I mean,
all right, cool. Well, I was just I guess a little curious about. I'll just speak freely about everything. I also have another thing. It's like you could say like, I mean, here's something too. It's like I can say whatever the heck I want in here, and it's like if I say something that's like will change the world, it's like it only changes the world on how many people see it and are exposed to it. Like I've learned that on Twitch. Like I practically leaked an entire album on Twitch, and like I feel like it hasn't really left certain circles.
Right.
Like even the Hydra, who's a guy who makes a bunch of content for Disfiguring the Goddess. Shout out Hydra. He is like gone back and like ripped the audio from the streams and then like listens to the songs on his own and like makes videos with the songs and like basically runs wild.
I'd be doing the same thing. I'm still waiting to hear this supposed 2015 DTG album that never got released, man. So
bro, it's coming. It's coming.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask about that because I remember like I honestly can't remember if it was on the podcast or Cam Every Day or something, but I remember hearing that and I was just like, what? I gotta remember to ask him about that. So I cannot wait to hear it. I'd be doing the exact same. So
okay, awesome. Yeah, I want to talk about the hidden timeline and the future timeline of how it kind of comes together.
Yeah, because I was gonna, I mean, not to cut you off, but
No,
I was gonna ask about just that space in between, you know, like I was like, oh man, I hope Cam didn't fall off, you know what I mean? It's like it was 2013, I think, came out with 2, and then just like nothing until 2019's Caterpillar, or at least nothing on the DTG side, you know, like
definitely.
So I was
the Big C things were really vague and weird, and
right. I left cold, man. Left me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were kind of mad about that, and I've got pretty good reasons for it. I mean, I also I also learned some great lessons out of that. Like how I got myself out of the cold was like really holding myself responsible and accountable. And that was also like one of the things I realized was like I kind of had a responsibility to keep contributing how I was, and I
Mhm.
just like really let everyone like basically I want to say down in the way where I just wasn't responsible to like keep up my end of the bargain, which was just keep making stuff.
Yeah.
So that was definitely something I felt. I was like, oh yeah, like you were like legitimately responsible for that, and you didn't hold up your bargain. Not that we had a deal or anything. That's I think a lot of things that like artists kind of get in with like fan bases is like fan bases like there's like a weird responsibility thing where like they're like have to be held accountable to continue to like do what they do, and like there's a relationship between them and the people who like what they do. And I think there's a million different sides to that, and sometimes the artists get mad. They don't feel like they don't think they should be held accountable to how people feel about what they do, and they want to do whatever they want. And and there's a lot of room within that, because they like that's kind of where like the things that are good come from, is by doing what they want. But you can definitely get on like multiple sides of that coin. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely some balance, some gray area there. Because I mean, I almost liken it to something like sports teams that haven't won in decades or something, or haven't, really, had anything in decades. It's like I feel like it can be like that at one point where you're just like just kind of waiting, and it lets this older music speak for itself. Like there's some bands that have had like a decade between albums and they're still great. Some bands who have done the exact opposite and it's been total shit. But I just feel like it can also just be, if they're you're just kind of feeding this constant hungry crowd, if you will, or something, it can maybe get detrimental, or at least like at least burn you out or something like that. You know what I mean? Like because I think some space in between is definitely important. So
Totally. And I
yeah.
kind of will play out that situation back of like if I didn't stop doing what I was doing, and I think it would have gone bad, because that was kind of the reason I wanted to like take a break anyway, just because I was feeling burnt out. And I was
Hmm.
feeling burnt out from a kind of a funny. It was like a transition of like transitioning myself as a person to an adult,
Hmm.
and carrying over the foundations that I developed as a kid, either through my own methods or through my family instilled in me, and kind of finding my own way of transitioning those things to be like an adult. And it's interesting because I I've made the transition, and I feel just like how I feel when I was like 19, 20, but I know exactly why, and I know how to perpetuate it. And I feel like it's like all like I felt like that when I was young. Like I felt like I had a positive attitude when I was young, and I was infectious with it, and then I was kind of aware of it. And now I'm pretty much the same way. And I'm a big dreamer again, and I'm like super encouraging, but I have like these foundations of like I know why I'm like that, and I understand it. And it's that was kind of and not just like those aspects, but also like my body as well, like transitioning from like an adolescent to a man. I like you have to like you
Like
know
take care of your temple in a way.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I learned how to do all that. And there's like, yeah, you need like the mind, body, and soul all to kind of like work together. So like, and there's a bit of a struggle with that from like an adolescent to an adult. And I think it's some people do it seamlessly, and some people I don't think ever do it. I think some people never really develop, and they become basically like kids who are now old people, you
Hmm.
know. So I'm happy that I'm kind of gotten through it, and I feel like I've got a lot of kind of perspective on it, and that's kind of one of the things I want to really focus on in my future is kind of mentoring that process and providing perspective and insight on that process to kind of develop and not become who you are, but also like have that sense of wellness to who you are and how to recognize how you're a gift to not just the people around you, but the world at large. And that's kind of
I
like
love that.
that's kind of one of my true goals, and I think true callings in life. I think even my ability to like want to do that and to think to do that is like kind of kind of in part to that's like actually my one of my purposes. And
Cameron Argon, motivational speaker.
exactly. And I think the music is a really fantastic way to pull people into that because you can have a good experience with me in some way that's from music. Whether you're meeting me randomly somewhere from a music position or someone shows you one of my records and you get into it there or what have you. Um, and then you kind of are able to get like a little window to go deeper if you want. And then if me on the other side of that window wall thing, I put myself out, like I reach out as well. There's a great chance that we can connect, and then you can start to benefit from the connection.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
got into it from music, but then you got something when you got deeper into it and we connected, you got something a lot more. And so I think the music is a great way to kind of reach out.
Dude, we're watching it in real time.
Yeah,
It's like it's happening right now, right?
it's
And
happening right now.
all right, and if just even just a few more people can hear this or hear it on your side, hear your music, and just like come to not only get into you, but just more music and positive vibes and just like that energy that you're bringing, like I mean, dude, you can die happy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. So like that's like I think the like under the skin thing. I'm you
I'm like
know
molding your character, right? Like your integrity side of things, your accountability side of things. Like it. I remember you talking about it on Heavy Hole podcast. Shout out to Big Will over there.
uh,
Where you're talking about your Twitch accountability, like making music, like while you have even just like this small audience, it kind of not only feels like a hangout, but also kind of like keeps you focused, like keeps that momentum, it's you're kind of giving yourself the carrot again, in that same way. So it's
hmm
pretty cool thing to see. So I like that. I appreciated that.
Thank you, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm it's I try to maximize on it every day, and it kind of keeps me like humble within the process of like the kind of what everyone deals with, where it's like every day is like kind of a brand new day. It's like an opportunity and a challenge to like kind of fulfill yourself every day, and it never really ends. And everybody's kind of in that boat. It's like a really common bond between all human beings is like that everyday type of process. And I think you can make that your worst enemy, or you can literally make that like your best friend ever. And it's like
Yeah.
when you get on that side of the fence where it's like you every day is a chance for you to step up and like crush it and fulfill the opportunities, and like you're motivated by that, and you can continue to double down on it every day. It gets pretty awesome because people resort to those types of things when they're typically down, like thinking like that. And then once they get going, they kind of like wear off of it a bit because they're kind
Mm-hmm.
of like, then they're able to
it's
coast.
it's almost like a survival mechanism when you're down or depressed or something, to just like give yourself those things to look forward to, or like some adjustments to make it easier or something. So, you know, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, myself included, know those quite well. So, you know.
Definitely. Yeah, I think everyone does.
Right.
So like, but when you get to that point where you're like, you really got that nice pace going, and then yeah, like you said, you keep that carrot in front of you, and you
Mhm.
continue to like refine the process day in and day out. It just like, I don't know, like the things you will reach for to get out of like holes when you're on it and you keep indulging in those things, they really get awesome. Like when when you are happy with your physical self and then you keep going with it, it's awesome. When you're happy with your spiritual self and you keep going with it, it's awesome. And same with your mental health. It's like, and then you just keep you just keep bathing in it. I look at it as like you're taking a bath. Like there's a quote from this guy I really love named Zig Ziglar. He's kind of a classic motivational salesman kind of guy, and he has all these like little tidbits he's like really zingy with.
It's a great name.
Great name, but he's
Yeah.
like, because he would travel around and like do like positive speaking to like companies, to like their sales departments and stuff, and he they're like, hey, like we're paying you this money to come out here and say this stuff, like is it permanent? And he's like, well, no, but either it's bathing, but you shouldn't stop taking baths. So I
It's
was like,
true.
that's it's so true. So like I just try and bathe and like, and that's just kind of like I think it really ties to like being hooked on the process of always learning,
Hmm.
and so I don't know. I'm doubling down on it right now, and it's nice to feel the encouragement when you do so. Like you get when you start doubling down on it and you put it out there a lot, and that you'll eventually start like getting it back, and it's like addicting, like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
yeah. So you get like the more you put in and you start to hit it, like hit the it's like, hit getting base hits. It's like when you first start making contact, it's like, ooh, nice. And then when you actually start getting on base, it's like, let's just keep doing this. Like this is great. Let's just keep doing that. So that's kind of how it's feeling. I mean, yeah. To so that yeah, that's really my angle with a lot of this stuff. And it's cool being in two different kinds of music, because like with metal, it's like reaching people from that and bringing them into this, but then also through like DJing and whatnot. Like it's just like, and DJing's, I think like the people you touch from that side is like, I don't really have like, I mean, it's hard to you'll never have a grasp on like who you're actually reaching ever. It's like literally infinite, um and endless. You never, it's impossible to comprehend, and that's kind of inspiring too. It's like,
Hmm.
you never know the waves you're gonna make. And but on that side of the fence with electronic music, it's like really, I don't know. So I'm hitting them both. So who
Yeah, man.
knows? Putting a
I
bunch
mean,
of
you're
hooks out there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I mean, you also get to like do that live too, like when you're DJing, or even just doing a live set with like instruments too. It's like, a band or a DJ gets to get that instant gratification, like you're making people's bodies move. And that's like really, I think in any genre is like really the whole point, right? Is to like make people move, groove. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, there you go. Shout out Sue.
shout out to for sure.
Um, I wanted to get to um these Zen breakdowns
Oh yeah, please.
from like your tie into Suffer Square and Led to the Desert,
Let
and
me hear
how
it.
it's similar to like the Soothe parts.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like where I really started to develop that type of like weight, I would say. And I kind of have a funny perspective on breakdowns, and it's the same perspective that is had in dance music, where
Hmm.
well, I think a lot of the music I'm into with dance music, like house music and techno or what have you, it's like the breakdown is like the most simplest part of the song. It's like where
Hmm.
the least amount of stuff is happening, and often in metal, it's like they ramp it up to be it's the simplest, but they make it the most intense. And like,
Right.
I think the breakdown is like when you literally break down the groove. Like you build up this groove and you're jamming and the song's going, and then as you slowly like lay off layers again and kind of keep cutting it down, and when it gets to that, just like it's just like a drum beat, or it's just like a slight rhythm, and like you can kind of feel that like
It's
that
like an
moment.
exhale to me, almost like an exhale versus like an inhale. It's kind of like the buildup or something. It's just like this kind of relaxing respite. From the, just like on that and shit. So
Definitely.
yeah, I
They
definitely
have it
see
in
that.
jazz a lot, where like they'll break it down, and like they'll just be like the guy like on the bass kind of just doing the line, and like
Right.
everyone's
Maybe
kind of
some
like,
brushes or something.
yeah, everyone's feeling it, and people start like letting out some woos and whatnot, and it's just like real simple, and everyone's just like super in it. I have taken that kind of approach to metal because I've been writing these songs in like the same kind of fashion, where like I get like a kind of like a lick or a riff or like a sound that I like, and I'll keep with it, and then kind of build up things around it. But the
Hmm.
things that I build up around it are like they're like heavy alternative stuff, like drums and bass and guitar. But
Some
I'll
choral synths and stuff. Like I always love the choral work, like the voice work and stuff like that too. Very cool.
yeah, and
Like
yeah, it's like a
yeah,
machine. Like I'll like have this, and it's like a rhythm, and they all kind of work together. But it's like it's the band
yeah,
aspect of it,
yeah. Yeah,
And
that kind of pyramid structure, like add the layers, take them away, makes those pockets and grooves and stuff. I feel
yeah,
like Echo, perfect example. Like it has that weight and that kind of almost like somber, like note choice of the guitar and stuff, but then like the crazy, like just kind of like spiraling out drums. You know what I mean? Like it just gives it this almost like textural. It's almost just like a chopped and screwed type vibe. You know what I mean? So
mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that. So. Yeah.
Amazing. Um,
It is
amazing
amazing.
that that reference too. More on that in a minute. Um, but yeah, so like Led to the Desert and Sephir Square, those were kind of. I mean, I even in back as far as like Circle of Nine with that one song. I think it's called like Void Leecher or something. It has the oh
Dude.
yeahs.
Yes. Void Leecher, also Breaching the Clone. Probably my personal favorite from that one as well. Like they both have that kind of like, when you're slamming on that boo do boo do
Oh yeah, yeah,
boo 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 do. Just
yeah.
really, really crazy, man. You got the
That's the
chanting,
song.
like you're just like summoning, this like cosmic entity or something. You know what I mean? Like very,
Yeah,
very cinematic in scope. It's very
yeah,
badass.
yeah. Yeah, no, I like that, and I like in metal when you catch the groove, and like I like when it stays for a while. Like there's so many bands that like do that, and they'll like the grooviest part of the song will last like 8 seconds, and then they're off to like doing something else, and it's like what
Yeah,
the heck.
it's a little too scatterbrained or something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
sometimes it'll let the other stuff shine a little bit if you again give it some space, give the people an exhale. You know what I mean? Like gotta
yeah,
let them breathe a little bit. You know?
totally. I think the conceptualization of slam metal, how it's like inspired by that breakdown from Suffocation, because I
Hmm.
think it's kind of a very similar concept of like how people like love that song and that breakdown so much. They're like, oh, this would be like a great type of music if it was just kind of like kept it there the whole time. And Slam does a good job at that. I think conceptually it does. I'm not saying it's executed really well all the time, but that's kind of like you know I don't know. Slam is not unique to that. I think metal in general, like songwriters throughout all metal genres and throughout time, have been kind of practicing that. Like Pantera is really good at kind
Oh
of
yeah,
groove and sustainability. With like when they
yeah,
catch a pocket, they really know how to keep it and
yeah.
sustain that.
They're
Meshuggah,
the
obviously,
Oh,
too.
dude, I have two Meshuggah tattoos on my body for the rest of my
No
life.
way. That's awesome.
Dude, I got a six-eyed spiteful snake that wraps around my chest and shoulder, and I can't really see it, but I have fucking the Obzen art in different colors, like right here as well. I mean,
That's awesome.
dude,
That's
all of
awesome.
my tattoos except for two are music related, and I can't wait to. I'm thinking because it's the first one that I heard, maybe something like from Sleeper, like just that circular part of those two kind of creatures with the orange and blue, like kind of leeching up that light or whatever the fuck is going on in that picture. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of crazy shit, man.
I remember when I saw that the first time. Like, shout out Toshiro Ogawa, legendary illustrator from Japan. Like, I just remember like him sending it over. Like, I don't remember even telling him what to do. Like, I think I just was like, I just like your stuff so much. Just like do whatever, and I'll be happy.
That's badass.
Yeah, and he just sent that over, and I just was like, I don't
No,
know.
no notes.
Yeah, I was like, this is. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, and it's been really iconic.
Yeah.
We still like using it. We just made a new background with
the
it's like
banner,
a Twitch
right?
Yeah. I think
it's on YouTube as well. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Omar has taken a liking to that, and it. I kind of like leaning into those things. Like, if something like kind of sticks, you just like, all right, this is now part of the identity.
$1 million idea for you right here, because I literally want it on my wall right next to this huge artificial brain thing too. Okay, I want a panorama of all of those landscapes, right? Like Magic cards have done it, like with the land cards. I don't know if you're familiar or not, but like I want to see something like the Kamigawa set block panorama of like the DTG landscapes. I mean, just picture like the ice part, from the one that Phantasmal Tip is on, Black Earth Child, just right next to that kind of bog, like tentacle ones from Deprive and stuff, right next to the Sleeper, almost like the kind of cosmic thing. Like, I can definitely see that, and then maybe have like Omar do some sort of like blending of the color schemes to make them a little more, like not such a cut and dry, like, thing. Like kind of gradient them together or something, dude, and put that in foil. Charge $100, bro.
Yeah, they might even look cool vertically too. Like,
oh, dude, like different levels, like fucking Bloodborne stuff. Oh yes, dude, I'm loving this. I love that, dude. That's sick. Okay. Well, that's just
you put
call him up right now, man. Get him on the call. Dude, you should definitely do that.
Caterpillar has that little man on it, which is cool because usually there's not then there's just like it's just like a little person out there.
Got those like energy wings and shit. Very cool.
Yeah, I've always kind of like, when I saw that, I was like, that's me.
You're just like ascending, right? Those, you put those on socks. Shout out to they're on the Bandcamp and I think the Empiricon, but
Benchmark.
Benchmark. Sorry,
Benchmark merchandising.
Dude, the Caterpillar socks, that is sick, dude. Like, you can get them in a combo too. The vinyl, that may be my merch of choice. But I think I should own a classic one. Like, you'll see soon on my Instagram, I already have a shirt that's right above my drum kit as inspiration. So literally my ankles are sore today from not only breaching the clone, but trying to learn Soothe. I did not even get as far as halfway through the hill before I remembered that, like, like, it's so much fun, man. But it's like, I was like sweating my balls off, bro. Like, I had to shower like right before I dude. Like,
awesome.
Dude, it's such a challenge, but I'm gonna try to get a take good enough either tonight or tomorrow to post. So don't be too embarrassed, be gentle. But man, it's just so fun, I think that'd be. Oh, dude, that'd be something that maybe, you talked about, like, taking people under your wing, getting people involved. If you challenged people, like, to do a drum cover from, like, a song from Soothe or something like that, like, or even did, just, like, pick, like, the top 3 and, like, put them on a video or something like that. I'll spoilers, it's probably not going to be me that's picked, but, dude, that would be badass. I mean, like, I would love to see that. I have looked at a couple people's just to give me some ideas on, like, what exactly I'm doing wrong, for specifically breaching the clone and shit. I'm like obsessed with learning how to play that song at speed. But I think that'd be a cool thing that you could do as well.
Yeah, I love that. Maybe you can help me out with finding these videos you're using as reference, because it could be cool to like make a teaser video of like, put a bunch of like people playing Disfiguring the Goddess songs on drums, and then you could like have a call to action. Like, let's see this. Let's have the
Yeah, man.
Competition, you know.
I
And then
mean,
have some prizes
myself
or something.
included. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude,
Throw some cat
people.
throw socks in there.
I mean, you know that people would do it for free, but you throw prizes in there, yeah, that'll definitely have some more people hopping on. I mean, for
Yeah.
sure,
People
absolutely,
talk
dude.
about it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I think we should organize that.
Yeah, dude, make that one of the unofficial videos right alongside, you and your Russia jacket or like a mariachi band in the street or something. Got some
Mhm.
crazy videos up on the YouTube channel, dude. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, yeah. We're trying to do a couple more here. I want to do one with the guy I did Mount Filled Roses with. He like mainly does like rap music videos, and I was
Oh,
like,
with the kind of weird glitchy effects and stuff, like real trippy. Yeah,
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 yeah.
really crazy.
It's like let's. So we're hoping to do some more videos. Is a fun thing, and I think I
Yeah.
fun with it for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
especially with the canvas feature now on like Spotify. I saw some of like the glitchy things like that you use, or are you just kind of like dancing in the cowboy hat and shit? Like it's a very good use of it, and really like I guess as good a segue as any into just like the kind of character, like the tongue in cheekness of brutal death metal, or really just metal in general. Like best example ever, probably, or at least first one to me, is the official video for New Millennium Cyanide Christ by Meshuggah, right? They're just on the fucking trailer. He's literally like singing into a Sharpie, and he's just
yeah.
like got socks on playing like air drums, you know what I mean? Like that's a dichotomy and a duality that just makes the music, I think, stand out so much more. And you also have that like in spades in in the YouTube channel, and just like the stuff you pair with the music, it's hilarious, man. So like I love the content, dude. Love it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I think it's the right energy to open up to, I feel like if you get that whim to make something like that, I think you should always go through with it. I think yeah, I don't know. I think it opens it up,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. Like
It's Oh no, go ahead.
Meshuggah's been full of memes. I heard a really good example or a definition of the name meme today. It was in a book.
Mm.
And yeah, I was always kind of turned off by memes because they're just like jokes, and I've kind of seen them as like things that waste your time. But
Mm.
then he started expressing memes. He was like, I learned a lot about like Instagram, how to engage people on Instagram by like working with a lot of large meme accounts. And he's like, then he goes into define meme, and he says it's any piece of information that people want to share online. So
It's
it
true.
opens up to like anything. Like he was like, there's like motivational meme accounts, there's like financial meme accounts, there's like it doesn't have to be like goofy stuff, but it's just
Yeah,
something that people share. But the
it's
example I'm going
true.
to bring up is kind of goofy, but like Meshuggah is like they've got so many good like things that are like memes, like the Wolf of Wall Street kind of pairing.
Oh yes, dude. Yeah, with the Leo video, that's just hilarious.
Yeah, and even like Bill Burr talking about Meshuggah is like fantastic. Like
Seen
that's
that as
just like
well.
so good. Like it's one of
They
my favorite.
have you
The
seen the
lighting guy video where he's like it's like
oh,
a
yeah.
video of him just doing the lights. It's like what the heck?
The
This is perfect.
have you seen the misheard lyrics video? Like
Uh-uh.
Alatality, like they take like I think it's Future Breed Machine specifically from Destroy Erase Improve, but they just type in Meshuggah misheard lyrics, and they just like put up images in really quick succession, like along with these misheard lyrics, and it is hilarious, man. Like it's just so funny, and they just do such a good job of like they're pretty nonsensical, but it really does sound like whatever they put on the screen. Like if you kind of like get it. They also did like Trivium in Waves has a misheard lyrics that's really funny, and so I don't know. This just such a weird idea, but it's such a thing in metal. Not being able to understand the vocals, that it's just like a perfect kind of perfect comedic transition. To get people into it. It's
Yeah, like
funny.
that was really big for Wave and the Cadaver back in the day with like
Oh, really?
shredded wheat. Like that one song, Chase Through the Woods, like is like shredded wheat, and then it's like I like there's a part it's like I want to hold your hand. It's like it's just so dumb, but it's great. It's
That's
great.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Holding hands is metal, right? So
Yeah.
a real man holds hands. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And it talks about breakfast cereal. than the next breath. So yeah, it was classic. To me, that's just like superhuman too. Like humans are constantly making jokes and laughing
Yeah.
at things. So I
Yeah, I
bet
mean
you
it's
people are doing it
that
forever.
yeah, that's another survival thing. I mean, the ability to connect with somebody, whether through, like something like romance, something like comedy or something like it is kind of a survival thing, you know what I mean? So what better way to make kind of quick form content and identify it or identify with it than memes, like of any kind. So yeah, I can definitely see that as well.
Yeah, I think they work really well with things that have like some good substance behind them. Like if it was just a bunch of memes and like everything about what the memes were promoting sucked, I think it would like miss it. But like we're talking about Meshuggah here. It's like
You're right.
nothing has more integrity and heavy alternative music than that band, Like
They are I mean still underrated to me. I really believe that, like, not only like if you just look at how many followers, it's criminal, that they have on like on music outlets, but they're just such trendsetters. I mean, for decades, like even back to like None and Contradictions Collapse, they, to me, they were like a better Metallica. I don't care if that's such a hot take. I mean, it was just Metallica-esque stuff with, they're like a scholar's medal or something. You know what I mean? Like they I don't know. They're just on the level with like Opeth and people who just do something just in another realm, in my opinion. Just
hmm
10,
no,
10
I
out of 10. Yeah.
10 out of 10. 10 out of
Yeah.
10. They've been my favorite heavy band forever. Like in periods where I wasn't really big into metal, I was still like really into Meshuggah. I would go see them live, and they came through and stuff. And
Oh
I
yeah.
agree with you. Have you ever seen that video of Kurt Hammett from Metallica soloing with them on a Bleed concert? It's badass.
No, I have not seen that.
Yeah, I think haven't they opened up for Metallica a couple times or something?
I want to say that they have. I have not seen them with Metallica. I saw them with Ministry. I've not seen them with Metallica. I mean, I know Ministry is nowhere near as really big as big as Metallica, but I'm not sure. I mean, that seems like a pretty perfect pairing, though. I mean, especially if they
Right?
play some old stuff. I mean, that would blow some fucking people's minds, man. I mean, I really think that, especially
It'd be a
people who
great
are.
opening.
Yeah, I kind of call these people like the on rails people, where they're just like, Pantera or Metallica or basically nothing else. You know what I mean? Or just bands in that similar vein. And I feel like there's no problem. I talked about this with Big Will too. Like, there's no problem with only carrying those big boulders back there, right? But everybody can pick up a few new stones along the way. And I think they're just like, that is a stone that needs to be in everybody's pocket, in my opinion.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I think now I remember it was the bass player from Metallica, Robert Trujillo, and
Oh
he
yeah.
was talking about how Meshuggah is one of his favorite bands and that he wants them to,
Oh
to
yeah.
open up for Metallica. And then
Dude,
like
that would
there's
be
a
amazing.
video of Kurt Hammett soloing on Bleed. I'm like I'm watching it and I'm just like this is a big deal. Like he's like
Yeah.
arguably one of the biggest lead guitar players in the world.
Yeah.
In history too. Like Kurt Hammock's it's pretty up there. He's up there with
Definitely.
like you know if there's like a top 10 list, it's like you could probably put Jimi Hendrix in there, and I'm sure you could
Oh
put like
yeah.
Santana, and I'm sure you could put like you know I'm sure you could put
Maybe
Kurt Hammock in there.
John Petrucci, in my opinion, got to be in there probably too.
Yeah, yeah. We're opening up a can
Shredder.
of worms right now because people are going like, you got to put Chuck Berry in there. You know what I mean? And like,
I'm gonna have to.
you
I'm
know,
gonna have to have you back on for a top 50 shredders or something like that.
yeah, you have to
Yeah,
have a panel on for that one.
yeah, dude.
I'll
I
be on the
mean,
panel.
yeah, they're just amazing. I mean, Frederick Thorndahl is such an inspiration to me, and I was turned on to Meshuggah at like, I mean, I really, well, like for me, young age, I think like 12, 13, because Deftones. Actually, I don't know if you're a fan of Deftones. I mean,
Oh yeah.
talk about people like having groove, having pocket. Abe Cunningham, shout out to him, one of the greatest drummers of all time, in my opinion. Just no four bars the same, serves the song so well. But yeah, point being, like, they just have such great layering. Frank Delgado, their DJ, like, I mean, I'm sure you know of him if you know Deftones, but they just have some of the heaviest shit ever and some of the saddest shit ever. Like, I've shed tears at their albums, I've headbanged at their concert. I like White Pony, my very first tattoo. I mean, they're so special to me. and they also gave me like arguably my second, third favorite band, Meshuggah. So they're just they're insane, man. I mean, they're great.
They opened it up, and
Yeah.
I think both these bands have played at the Buku Music Festival, which always made me intrigued by that music festival. Like one time I saw Meshuggah was playing that, and I was like, that's got to be a crazy music festival, because it seems like an alternative, kind of like got a lot of like dance music, got a lot of rap music, and then like a couple rock bands. And like one year I saw Meshuggah on it, I was just like, that's got to be the coolest thing in the world.
I mean, when you think about it, I can't think of many metal bands. Like I have some friends who would argue with me here, but if you are a fan of heavy music, it's so groovy. I mean, you could almost it's almost like something that is just almost like a house music type of effect, where it's like a trance like kind of thing. You're focused on whatever Thomas is doing with his right hand basically, and he's doing two fucking songs because he's doing what he's doing up top and then doing whatever the guitar or bass is doing on the feet. I mean,
It's nuts.
it is nuts, dude. It's great. The dude has 3 brains. I've always said that. So, it's insane.
Yeah. And he's got like every time I hear him talk, he always sounds like so calm and peaceful. So I'm sure he's got a heart of gold too.
Yeah.
Sure they all do, because they're all still together. And I just massive respect for that band. I tell people about them all the time in dance music.
Oh yeah.
And, I'm always like sending videos and stuff. I don't think people are like checking it out, because I never hear them calling me up in the middle of the night saying how much they love Meshuggah. But like when Meshuggah comes through
I wish.
Texas, like I'm bringing like all my friends. I'm like,
Yeah.
we are going to Meshuggah. Like,
yeah,
this is.
I've seen them 3 times, and I don't think you could be disappointed. I mean, like they sound note fucking perfect. It's insane, man. I mean, they're such such an inspiration live. I mean, they have their shit down to a science. I mean, it's insane, man. So.
Oh yeah, like Alive is my favorite Meshuggah album, because it's kind of like a greatest hits album re-recorded.
Yeah.
It's like all these old songs with like this new recording, and it's
where is it? I have it somewhere down here, but amazing art too, man. It's like the aliens cover, such a good thing with Jin's face. Such a good idea, dude. Like just that's like comedic in its own right,
Yeah.
And just they can do no wrong, in my opinion.
I don't think so. I can't wait for the new album whenever it pops up. I know it's got to be somewhere in the works. It's been about that time, so
right.
We'll see. We'll see.
Ooh, I just thought of another shredder that I have to mention that I know you know of is the guy from Sleep Terror.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that guy, I'll never forget when I heard Probing Tranquility, which you can't find for some reason anymore. I mean, his new stuff is amazing as well. Like Ab Reaction. I mean, like he's got some insane stuff and also really funny album art. But dude, Sleep Terror, I've been a fan. Like I heard them in college, like really, I want to say like at least like it had to be like 2008 or something, 2009 maybe is when that came out. But just so sick, man. Like, and he's still pumping them out too. Actually, I did shout him out, like, and I'm gonna feature him on an episode pretty soon. I'm not sure if we're doing an interview, but definitely picking some songs of his to play. So
amazing. Yeah, he's got a really cool YouTube channel where he's just like playing these badass funk songs on a bass. He's a hell of a musician.
Yeah, dude. I mean, to be honest, when I first heard it, I wasn't sure that it was a real person. And then whenever I found out that it was, I was like, I was literally burning it still at the time, like trying to give it to like my friends. I was like, dude, you have to listen to this. Like, it was just so good, man. So good.
I think I did a vocal video to.
You definitely did.
Songs, and I don't know where it is anymore.
It's like it's on the most popular for sure, because it's like one from like 8 years ago, I want to say, or something. Like,
oh yeah, here it is. Sleep Terror, brutal death metal vocals.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. All right, I'm glad that didn't get deleted.
Oh no way.
Or like, because I went through a couple phases where I just would like delete stuff. And
yeah,
like,
I hope I'm not forgetting his name. I want to say it's Luke Yeager. I mean, I do not have notes in front of me about that, but I want to say it's Yeager or something like that. But yeah,
I think it's Luke something for sure.
He's a badass, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, that is it. That is it. Yeah, he really is.
Bonus points, Luke. Get at me.
Yeah,
he's
dude, awesome.
He's awesome, dude. Okay, well, I gotta ask too. Okay, so what were some of the, not just earliest influences, I guess, but like who were some of the underrated artists that you can think of that you maybe want to show some love for, or maybe just some don't have to be new, but maybe just have like kept you going, for like maybe the last year or so.
I'd shout out Strapping Young Lad.
Oh, dude, he is a genius, I think.
Yeah, that his work with that band, particularly like with Gene
Oh
Hoglan on the
yeah.
drums,
Oh
and
yeah.
like
The atomic clock. Yeah.
yeah, whoever they went in the studio with, like whoever they recorded, whoever was in the room or involved with that album, is it Alien? Yeah.
You know, I think
Um,
strangely enough, my favorite one is it's the one with the alien on the cover. It's not the album Alien, I don't want to say, but it's so goofy, like where he's powering up the laser. What is the name of the alien? I can't think of it right now, but
yeah, it looks like he's got
he's
a
just
couple
it's
with
so good,
one of them
man.
looks like it has an alien on it. But
Yes, it's so
they
good.
have a layered sound and a groove based sound, and like I love the textures he creates with his guitar
Oh yeah.
and the emotion he inputs with his voice. I think is super powerful and controlled.
Yes, yeah. What one of the best examples I can think of is it's probably besides Love, just because that's like special place in my heart. That's the first one I heard from them. I saw them live with Opeth years ago, Sounds from the Underground, but it's called Storm Bending, I believe. It
Mm.
is if you don't know it by heart, let me rephrase because I know you probably heard it, but if you don't know Storm Bending by heart, it is one of the most beautiful songs he's ever written. It's got the heavy, it's got the beautiful, it's got amazing leads, amazing drum work. I cannot think of who did the drums on that one right now. I apologize, but damn, it's 10 out of 10 as well. Song's so good.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna
Transcending
look.
Obscurity, I think it's from. I want to say. I have so many like just words related to metal in my head lately. I cannot keep them straight. But
Yeah, it's difficult.
yeah,
I'm gonna look into that one for sure.
absolutely,
Um,
dude. I mean, it's amazing. Like I kind of that song always takes me back to 2016 in San Francisco because I would just have that song literally on repeat on the BART, like commuting to work every day when I first heard it. So good,
so
amazing.
good.
Oh yeah.
Another one would be Old Man's Child.
Oh,
Um,
dude, yes. Blast from the Past.
yeah,
Yeah,
I loved In Existence. What is it called?
underrated for sure.
And Defiance of Existence. Yeah, and I loved
Super heavy.
Vermin, but
Yeah.
in Defiance of Existence had Nick Barker from Dimmu Borgir playing drums on it, and I love his
Oh
style.
shit. Yeah.
I feel like he was kind of an influential drummer to me, no doubt. And
He's a shredder on drums.
Shredder's just got such style, and I love his cymbal work.
I was actually going
Um,
to ask you as well, like, who are some drummers that you either try to emulate or kind of inspire your drum work? Because as a drummer myself, I mean, I'm not, anywhere near excellent, but it's I at least have like some ability to play like really crazy metal, and your stuff is just like so challenging sometimes, but it's always possible. There's been a couple times where like Question of Integrity by Agoraphobic Nosebleed. I don't know if you know that one offhand. Track 7 from Agor Apocalypse. Amazing album art. Amazing album just front to back. But it's got this drum solo at the end of Question of Integrity. It was one of the just most mind-bending things to younger me. And I remember still to this day, I try to play that on drums, and it just feels like there's some parts that I just cannot do. And your stuff is always like super challenging, but I can tell that you have this reverence for drums because it's always like so tasteful. It not only is it keeping the down tempo, but even when it's not really keeping the down tempo with the snare, it's got something in the backbeat space. It's like, man, now I'm rambling, but great example. Okay, Mountain Filled with Roses, right from the beginning. It starts off with this like chirp or this snap wood block kind of pattern, right? It's like it kind of sets the tone of this like, hey, you can relax to this metal if you want. You can go to sleep to this metal. You can be moved, you can get grooved, but you can be soothed by this metal. Put that on a t-shirt, bro. But yeah, that's just like it's such a good example, like right off the top. You know what I mean? Just kind of sets the tone. And yeah, I'm just curious, like I guess to get back to the point, it's like yeah, some people that maybe bands at least that like you think of when you're kind of going for that for your drum sound.
Definitely, that's a great question because it's definitely something I think a lot about. Especially I like how you called it like drum work too. Like even though it's um, superior drummer, it really is like I think about the drummer all the time. And there's
Yeah,
parts like, well, I have mistakes. I'll have it like hit the rim, I'll have it, you know, error. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll have him get exhausted during the blast beat because that's
Mm-hmm.
how I want it to sound. I want it to sound, you know, raw and heavy. And you
Yeah.
know, maybe it's funny because I've always like maybe I'll work with a drummer one day, but I'll still like
Mm-hmm.
program it and then have someone like I would love to work with
Learn
Naveen
that or something.
K. Naveen K is an awesome drummer. I would
Oh
love,
yeah.
and he does a lot of
Original
session
drummer
work
for
too.
Animals as Leaders, or at least that's
Yeah,
where I first heard of him. Yeah.
and Animosity. That's kind of his
Oh,
OG
that's
home.
right. That's right,
Yeah,
man.
and I love his work with Enthenos. I think that's a great band. I've been stoked about that band since it was first conceived, and I love the how it's right now. It's currently just him and Cheney, the
Mm-hmm.
singer, and like they're awesome. They're an awesome couple, and they're awesome. Everything they have a sick podcast. They're sick. Like everything I see from them is badass.
Mm-hmm.
I've met them a handful of times. They're both like awesome. They're both
I love
sweethearts.
that too. I mean,
The
that's the
VK and
best
I
too.
geeked
Yeah.
out multiple times together.
That's awesome. I
Yeah,
did
I
just
got
see on Instagram he just like posted his like brand new kit setup, and I'm just like, got that EC reverse dot snare. It's the same one I got, like, or the thing anyway.
yeah.
Like I was like, yes, like
He's got really good taste in drums. Like the way he sets his kits up and the cymbals he uses and just like the combinations of kits. I've been inspired by him quite a bit. Like I'm working on a new Disfiguring record where I'm using two different kick drums.
mhm.
Like there's two kick drums, but
Oh
they're different kick drums.
yeah,
And
I know exactly what you mean. So that way you get they're both a little more like breathy. You don't get like the slap back as much as with like either plastic or soft beaters. But when there's that one head, it leaves it kind of tight for that second hit a lot of the times. Or like when you're going back and forth, like
yeah,
Mhm.
well, I'll no, they're like two different sizes.
Oh, you
And
mean like two different like sounds of them or something?
yeah,
Oh,
and
okay, okay.
I'll have it to where like there's a lot of double kick work with just one of the kick drums, and then I'll use the other kick drum with like almost like an accent on
Oh,
parts.
nice, nice.
And it's been really weird to experiment with, but it's like why not? It's like, you know.
Exactly, dude. I mean, the fact that you're even doing it and thinking it like that's really like, I'll be able to die happy if I can just do something different. That's always my goal is like if you can just do something that is different, even if it's objectively bad or like if most people don't like it, who really cares as long as you're getting something out that was, that needs a home. You know what I mean? That's kind
Yeah.
of what I think,
Yeah. But I would say like massive inspirations when I'm actually like, you know, doing the drum work and writing the music. I would say Chase Westmoreland from OG Burning the Masses and like a million other bands after that. He played with
Mm-hmm.
Oceano, he played with Faceless, he played with Hate Eternal.
Dude.
But
Oceano, Blast from the Past for me too.
yeah, his hot work for me was Burning the Masses, and I got to I did that album with them in the studio, so I got to watch him track that whole record. And I
That's
got to,
right. That's right.
yeah,
That's your drum kit from hell. I remember watching that actually. That's badass.
yeah. He really,
He is so effortless. Like ergonomic was the word that
oh,
came to mind, dude. I mean, I was like really discouraged. That's why I was actually learning how to play your songs today because I was like, Chase probably put in some time today. I gotta fucking get up there. So
yeah.
yeah.
He comes off so effortless and natural. He definitely taught me a lot about drums. Like I would watch him in the studio and I would ask him certain questions like how do you play that? Like even like certain blast beats and he would like break down like how it was like if you listen to his work on Burning the Masses, like those albums, it's like his control and groove with blast beats is so sick. And I love the way his drums sound too. It's like there's a couple things with these drummers. Like there's a couple similarities too. Like all the drummers I'm really into do blast beats,
Mhm.
and they all have like I feel like they have like a nice taste of like how they like the drums to sound too. Like what snare drum they're using, what kind of
Mhm.
toms they like to use, how many toms they like to use,
Right.
their cymbals, how their cymbals are like mixed even. I think there's a similarity string through all those things. And Chase just like he had such a weird taste to his drums in some way. Like his ride cymbal never had that like screw on the top. It was always kind of loose. And like
Mhm.
he had a big bell. and he just had such control with like it wasn't a blast, it was like a grind where it was like, like ride snare, and the kicks would complement like the offbeat, so it was like, it was like doing like a I don't know if the beat like a skank beat, but it's like a blast beat version of it, and he would switch off between I think I would call it like a grind blast. He would switch off between like the grind blast and a blast like throughout.
Like a bomb blast or something.
Yeah, and his feet would complement it really well. Naveen does that really well too. He's got like sick control over like when he lets the feet fly when he's blasting. I would say Dirk from Soilwork's a huge influence as well. He's awesome.
Can you say the name? Can you say the name one more time? Sorry, it's just like
Dirk
for me right there.
Dirk? Soilwork. Oh, I think he plays with Megadeth now.
Oh, okay. Man, can't go much further up than that.
Yeah, but in Soilwork, he had a way different style than.
Oh yeah, Soilwork is like that. That's shredding on drums. You're not doing much shredding on drums playing for Megadeth. I imagine, like.
Yeah, like Wikipedia is calling Swedish melodic death metal band Soilwork, and then joint heavy metal band Megadeth.
There you go.
So yeah, he's great on Soilwork. I love his work in Soilwork. He's awesome. And then Nick Barker from Old Man's Child. He's a big inspiration too. Like I grew up on those. No, Dimmu Borgir. I grew up on those Dimmu Borgir albums for sure, and listened to him play drums, and kind of like watching him play drums too. Like watching old YouTube videos of him. Like there's this track from Puritanical called Blessings Upon the Throne of Tyranny. It like starts off with this badass blast beat, and like the way his kick drum sounded and the way he played them, and his cymbal work specifically, like he loves splashes and stuff, and his accents with them were so sick. And yeah, those are like my inspiration for drummers. I'd say Chasen Westmoreland for sure. And even it's funny too, like even the original drummer of Disfiguring the Gods was a big influence on me too. His name is Saf Brooks. This was like when we were like kids, and he just had a sick style and like a sick way of figuring out like tasty little fills. Like I thought all his fills were like really creative and neat. Like he wasn't a fan of like the typical stuff other people were doing. And he just had like little weird things he would do, and like I just loved those little, I thought they're inspirational, like my work in drums for sure. But yeah, Naveen K, it's funny because I feel like Naveen K's stuff is like I feel inspired watching him play and listening to all his kits and knowing him too. He's an inspirational dude. Shout out to Naveen K, and he's super encouraging too. Like we have a pretty all right friendship, and we've been friends and for a while now. Like I don't know, we've hung out a few times, and we've geeked out on drum and bass a few times, and it's kind of cool now because I think we're both in a nice stride, and I'm kind of back doing stuff and putting my stuff out there, and he's kind of reached out a couple times and just been like, this is sick or whatever. And like it's just nice. Like I really like and appreciate him, and
that has so much value, like just somebody unprompted, just just like, hey man, I appreciate what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like that's the dream, right? That's the goal.
Yeah. And you can tell he dug a little bit, and like he shows up, and then he says stuff. He's just a really cool dude. Like he's a sick person to follow. He's positive as hell. Like the stuff he posts on Facebook and stuff is always like really positive. Like you can tell he's kind of on that same headspace of like, kind of conquering the mind, body, and soul, and then putting it out there. So I think he's fantastic. I think they're about to blow up too. His band with his girlfriend Cheney. She's a sick vocalist too. She kills it. So I think the two of them together, because he's like doing the guitar. He's always done the guitar in the band, but he's always tried to like build bands out. And I think now at this point,
he wants something done right.
Yeah, they're just doing it. It's just them, and like I like the image of just them. Like their promo, it's just like them, both of them, and like this, they're both wearing like black shirts. I'm just like, it's cool. Like I don't know what it is. I'm just like attracted to small groups too, like when there's like one person or two people.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of stuff in MySpace too. Like when Slam was coming out, there was like all these bands that were like one dude or two dudes in a drum machine. Like one guy would play bass, one guy would play guitar, and they both do vocals and they have a drum machine. And like
Love
you
that
could
stuff.
tell they had nice synergy because it's all about the synergy. You know, like people fill out bands to like they're basically just like, you know, musicians, but they're like kind of playing. They're just playing the music. You know, where like
Yeah, it's more
somebody
just like an
plays.
all hands on deck thing instead of like a melding of minds thing or something.
Definitely. And I think a lot of the best bands from the last century were like a melding of minds, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Bee Gees, the Eagles, like these bands, like they had sensitive lineups, and like when you would mess with the lineup, it would have drastic effects on the music. And you know, then you throw the producer into that as well, and it's a whole other element to it. And all those bands have sick backstories on them where you could learn a lot about them. Like I know the Eagles has a really famous documentary. It's been out for a while, and the Bee Gees has a really great new documentary called "How to Mend a Broken Heart," which I think anyone who's into music should check out because I think you know, talk about underrated. Like, they're probably the biggest band ever. You know, they just like they wrote new music that continued to smash charts for 3 decades, and I just don't think bands have been able to do that. And you know, the documentary really shines light on that whole process, and like, you know, just to. This isn't a secret, so it's not like I'm spoiling anything, but like in the 80s, like people were sick of the Bee Gees because they were so popular in the 70s, but they wrote everybody else's music. So like most of the music that people liked in the 80s was written by the Bee Gees. It just didn't have the Bee Gees name on it.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, so they were still crushing the game, but it wasn't their records. They were writing.
They're like the guy who runs the wizard behind the curtain or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So it's a really cool story. And then the Chili Peppers, like they got a great book. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff about that band. Like they're an awesome band, but like I read Anthony Kiedis' book, and it kind of goes into like, you know, each member of the band and the storylines, and you know, everyone knows John Frusciante, or however you say his last name, in the Chili Peppers.
Frusciante, I think.
Yeah, and how that has played out, and like how like when he's in the band, it's like this like there's just something about it, and like he's
true,
in and out of it, and it's like it's kind of hectic, you know, but it's that's, you know, that type of synergy I think is what bands are really about. And there's bands that have that today for sure, but you know, I think you can, there's a lot more bands without that than with that. And you know, that's why I think I'm really hyped on Need to Know is coming up, is because I think they just got mad synergy, those two, you know. So I'm stoked on them. Yeah, so you know, I'm giving them my best, and I'm, you know, I think they got it, because like this, like they seem like they got the foundations really, really down, like just as people, and like as like musicians, they're just like the sickest. So I think they're gonna have it in the bag this year too, you know. It's cool too. My management company just merged with their manager, so now we're on the same little team. And it's like kind of a smaller. It's not smaller, but it's like there's only 4 people at this company.
Oh wow!
Maybe some like
pretty
there's
small
definitely assistants and stuff, but I think there's like 4 artist managers, and I don't know. It's cool.
That's awesome though. You're in good company, you know. So
yeah.
That's cool.
That has nothing to do with like us like appreciating each other and, you know, kind of like encouraging each other right now, because we've been doing that for a long time. But it is cool to like, you know, be on that team with them, for sure.
It's even better that you had that first. It's like, you know, I equate it to, you know, being best friends with somebody before you date them or something. You know what I mean? It's like, well, all right, now we're dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, stoked on them. Naveen's a
Mhm.
beast, and he like I mean I've been talking about it for a minute, but I don't think I've said this, but I think it's implied, but he rips it on the guitar and writes
Mm.
really really dope stuff. I think the next record's gonna be super sick, and
I can't wait to hear it.
yeah, I think it's gonna be good. Um, but we should talk about the missing links and the future timeline of
Yes, man.
2021 for Disfiguring and
Right.
how it comes from the past, but also going into the future. Um,
It's full circle. He's going full
it's
circle,
it
folks.
really is. Like there's a timeline that is missing some entries in it. There's the chain is missing some links, and one of them is that
He's got his own shoes to fill and some time gaps that he's got to, like border up right now,
yeah, and they're being filled. I'm feeling the momentum for sure with not just like the people and the movement of disfiguring the goddess, but also like the process as well. And so 2015 there was an album, and it's like kind of the true predecessor to Black Earth Child,
Mm.
and it's just like it's moody, it's heavy, it's dark, it's fast. Like there's a lot of speed on that album. Not a lot of grindy elements. Like there's not like tracks like Admiration of Anger or anything.
Mm.
Uh,
That's a riffy one on that one. Like,
that is a riffy one. Yeah, there's some sick riffs, but they kind of like they kind of run a bit more than they do like switch up like that or whatnot. And
got more
there's
of that
some
like driving kind of force behind it or something.
yeah, the tempo is a bit higher. Um, it's dark. It's got some nice pad kind of like atmospheric work scattered around. It's got some nice developments of breakdowns
Mm.
and some nice developments of like runs and grooves and stuff. Like it sounds like the record that comes after Black Earth Child. I think it's the record that people wanted when they heard Caterpillar.
But
Like they
not the
want
one that we deserved.
yeah, like they thought they were gonna hear um, this predecessor to Black Earth Child, and they got Caterpillar, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" But Caterpillar, I think, will make sense. I mean, there's people who love it. Like I'm getting a lot of new fans right now from people promoting Soothe.
Mhm.
So people are reaching out a lot to me, and they're like, "I've just found out about you from so and so, and with the new album, I love the new album, and I've been doing some back catalog stuff, and Caterpillar is my second favorite." And I'm like, that's cool to hear because like that wasn't the vibe when it dropped. And I kind of knew that was going to be the case, but I truly believe that Caterpillar will be like definitely a talked about record in the long scheme of things. Like over the course of the next 10 years, as Disfiguring the Goddess does its thing, I think Caterpillar will be like this, just like this point, this record, this topic, and people will have like reverence for it regardless of how they feel about it. And I think it's cool. Like yeah, like like I was telling you about my buddy Kato, who I turned on to Disfiguring the Goddess, and he loves Soothe, but he was like telling me that he really likes a couple tracks from Caterpillar, and I'm like,
Mhm.
I mean that's hilarious because that was and also like if it became the vibe of it because when people would talk about it, they would
Mhm.
always mention that was the vibe about it. So it's like it's so funny that that's like constantly being addressed with that album. That like when people like it, they're like they say it in like reverence of like the air around it. It's
Mhm.
so interesting. But like like everyone on our team like thinks it's going to be talked about forever.
It's
It's
definitely
fun.
got some elements that are like different in terms of like your other stuff because I want to say it's like 36 minutes or something too, which is like close to like three times longer than like Soothe and stuff like that. It's got like a 7 minute long track in there. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got some of my favorite ideas. Like I really like Don't You Want to Meet Us? The
six
whole
song.
like yeah, I mean they just have like all these like different textural elements and stuff. Like I think uh the sound of it is different in the style too. Like it just has this whole kind of different like mastering thing. Like I know you did Soothe yourself, I believe, right? So
Hmm.
Caterpillar was like mixed like out of house or something, right?
It was kind of. I did most of it and passed it on to someone else, and we kind of like put it together. The thing that is was missing about Caterpillar that every other Disfiguring the Goddess album has is its smoothness in the process. Like
Mm.
Soothe, I think, was written instrumentally, and I think the first two songs were written vocally, like recorded vocally, and the whole album was written lyrically in like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And then I took some time off, like maybe about 6 to 8 months off, and then recorded all the vocals, but using old lyrics. So
Oh, right, right.
it was kind of neat. It was actually a really amazing and I don't know if cathartic is the right word. That's the word I want to use.
Sounds like Soothe was pretty smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Like
was.
therapeutic or something, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think cathartic works if I'm, you know.
yeah. Caterpillar was very much the same way, but with the opposite. Like there was aspects of it that were really, really smooth. Like writing it was really great. Like one of the things that was different about it too is I used a 6 string on the whole album,
Oh,
which
wow.
on the past couple albums I've been using 8 strings. So like to
Right.
go back to a 6 string had like a different approach, and like I had to like cut it short. Like I would just not stop writing songs, and the
Right.
songs I was writing I would keep writing them longer and longer and longer, and I was like, all right, you got to like cut this one off. And the lyrics as well, like there's like 5 times the amount of lyrics on that album as any other album. It's just like I remember the guy who did the CD covers and stuff. He does all when we press CDs, he formats um, all of our CDs, and he was like, "Man, you wrote a novel on this one." Like the song "Keeper" like just keeps
Yeah.
going. Like it stops, and then like there's like a pause, and then it comes in, but it's just the same tempo and like a
Hmm.
similar riff, but just kind of different. It just has like a more of a death metal approach to it, and it's like
Yeah.
not as experimental as like
It's
a lot of the
aptly
records.
named then, you know. That reminds me
Yeah.
of something like Mother's Hand, or even maybe like Admiration of Anger. But it's like where you get this kind of textural element. Um, don't You Want to Meet Us is kind of like that actually too. Like you can
Hmm.
almost be like kind of desensitized to that texture after a while because it's just constantly like pummeling you. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
really it's a really like interesting element that a couple of songs like that have. So
Yeah. I think the vocals on that album are super nasty too. Like they just like sound really brutal. Like there's a lot of like experimental vocals on there.
yeah.
A lot of things I love about that album, and it's yeah. But the process I did not love. I think I took too long to do things, and it was a cathartic process in a lot of ways. Like it was kind of like at the beginning of my stages. Yeah, shout out to Mike Compatillo. He's the guy who always formats the stuff for me. He's awesome.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's just like, a lot of things, but I made it happen and it's great. But yeah, so there's the missing 2015 album, then Caterpillar, and then there's an album that drops really soon
Oh
that I
shit.
made before Soothe.
Hmm.
And there's two vocalists on the album.
Okay.
The entire album has dual vocalists. And the other vocalist is the original vocalist of Disfiguring the Goddess.
Well, okay. Okay. So talk about full circle. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. And
that's crazy.
yeah, so we got together like in Nevada where we grew up at, which is it's called the Carson Valley. We
Mhm.
lived in Staff Brooks and I lived in Minden, Nevada, and then Garrett McGeehan and Reed Mitchell lived in Gardnerville. And there's two
Mhm.
different middle schools, but one high school. And the high school was grades 10 through 12. So
Mhm.
ninth grade was at the middle schools. And we all kind of met like right before high school. And, like it was me, a guitar player, and Saf, a drummer, and then Reed was a guitar player, and then Garrett was a vocalist.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of like connected via mutual friends. Like people were like, you should, work with these guys, and these guys should work with, vice versa. So we all got together and basically started a band right away, and it was awesome. Like it was originally called Corpses Make Mountains, which was like a super MySpace. Actually, it was originally called the Oxbow Incident, which was like just literally like we picked up a book in English class. We're like, let's call it this. And then, Corpses Make Mountains is like very MySpace sounding to me. And then
that's a very on the nose.
Yeah. And then Disfiguring the Goddess kind of was like brought up, and everyone was like, no brainer. Like, this is the name. And, I do
love it.
Yeah. And then Garrett and Reed kind of left at the same time mutually. Like, it wasn't like weird or bad or anything at all. And they formed another band called I Built the Cross. And then I recorded all their shit too. So they were like, they sounded like the production quality was very like early Disfiguring the Goddess. But we all, like Garrett and I, liked all the same music, and we kind of like came from two slightly different angles and backgrounds, but loved the same stuff, especially at that era, which was like 2006, 2007, 2005, 2008. Like we were.
That reminds me of like Norma Jean's Bless the Martyr, The Chariot, like like stuff like that, like Tony Danza I was getting into at that time and stuff, like some crazy shit.
So he was kind of coming from more of that angle. Like I think I became a fan of Norma Jean a little later, like 2008 maybe. I was really into Oh God, The Aftermath.
That album is incredible, actually.
Yeah,
I love that album.
A couple albums. It came out 2005.
It's like 05,
so I listened to it a couple years after it came out, and I was just like nonstop with it because it reminded me of Meshuggah. I was like, this is just like Meshuggah.
Yeah, they have like right straight off the bat, like Murderotica and Vertebra. Like I used to actually like be able to play some of those on guitar just because I wanted to learn how to do those dissonant high notes that they put in between and stuff. Like they just had that really interesting sound, at least for me. Them and Zayo, if you know Zayo, shout out to Zayo, dude.
One of my first 5 albums in my life, metal albums, is Funeral of God. Shout out to Zayo.
So good, dude, so good. I mean, they have some incredible stuff, dude. I'll never forget either of those. Actually, that album and Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child, like that was something really early in my life. I actually just talked about this on last week's episode too. Like it was just so eye-opening to me, so emotionally heavy. I mean, it had just some weird stuff, weird textural elements. I mean, they and their production quality, especially nowadays, like they've only gotten bigger, better sound. Like I may not like the ideas quite as much, but I'm so biased to that old stuff. You know what I mean? Like. Same with bands like ETID, Every Time I Die, or like they do not stop making good music. They don't make bad music, but there's just something so special about some of those old songs like Emperor's New Clothes or Prom Song, Ebola Rama, stuff that just for me may never get hit on again or something. So
definitely. Yeah, so we kind of came from that. I mean, I had a lot of like we both loved metal, and I think Garrett was into like more like Garrett liked like screamo side of things. He loved metal, but he also was like dabbling into that a bit more. And I was like, I mean, I loved like 18 Visions, and I loved like Remembering Never and stuff. But
Under Oath or.
Yeah, I bet you Garrett was like really into Under Oath and stuff. But like when we kind of linked up, like we were really into like just like the most brutal music we could find. Like we were big fans of like Implosive Disgorgence.
Oh yeah.
And big fans of like Devourment, obviously.
Yeah. Cannibal.
Yeah.
Carcass.
Yeah.
Pestilence, like that shit.
Beneath the Massacre.
It's like older dirty. Oh yeah, they're great as well.
Yeah, we loved that band. We loved
Mortician. Remember
Yeah,
Mortician?
I like Mortician a lot. I still like Mortician a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I like all these bands still.
Yeah.
Red
Old
Chord,
Old
Despised
Contortionist
Icon.
was I mean, Contortionist has really grown up. Like they're a fucking killer band. They're like between the Buried and Me level production right now, in my opinion.
I
But their
agree.
early stuff too, like super brutal, super brutal, if I can
Yeah,
put
yeah,
a new
beautiful.
term in there. You know, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Your stuff fits in that as well. Brutal. You know,
yeah.
you gotta start calling your movement a groovement. By the way, you
A
know, like
groove.
it's a groovement, man.
That's so funny because we're actively like thinking about terms. There's a type of house music that came upon at a certain point called tech house.
Hmm.
It's like a really groovy subgenre of house music.
Hmm.
I'm trying to look up when it was kind of like created, but like I've heard people like there's this record label called Solid Grooves, and he did
Hmm.
this. One of the guys who founded it is named Michael Beebe, and they're asking about the record label, and he's talking about like when that sound was just kind of coming around, and they're like trying to figure out what to call it, and they're like it's like everyone's playing it, but no one had a name for it yet, and they
Right.
were like at like this like after party at this island where they play dance music constantly called I don't even know the right way to pronounce it. It's Ibiza. I've heard people like use a
Oh
lisp
yeah.
when they say it
Yeah.
as well. But like they were all there jamming this stuff, and they're like, it's like solid, but it's groovy. It's solid, but it's groovy. Like, solid grooves. So they call their label Solid Groove. So I'm looking for those moments like right now. Like I hung out with Michael from Barbaric Brutality last week. He came through Austin, and we got a chance to meet up and go to dinner and stuff. And showing him a bunch of new Disfiguring stuff, and we were driving all around Austin, listening to music and talking about music, and talking about all kinds of stuff, ideas, life. We cut it deep, and we were like, you know, basically like, you want to call things something when something's happening that you want to like address,
Hmm.
and especially with music, like sometimes there's not the right word yet, and it's exciting because it's just a matter of like continuing to find the right word. So like,
Yeah.
Slambient's a good one. Slambient seemed to like not
Love
just one
Slambient.
person is like hearing it and repeating it. Like other people are like coming up with it. Like, how about this is Slambient? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
other
That's
people are
awesome.
saying that. Yeah, so
I actually
it's
heard
a
it
great thing.
from Big Will on the Heavy Hole podcast. Like it's pretty awesome. You know, we actually mentioned you on his episode of my podcast, and oddly enough, I was just like, you know, as I do, I try to like just promote shit that I'm into, and I was like, hey man, you know, you like brutal shit. Have you heard Disfiguring the Goddess's new stuff? And he was like, dude, I'm interviewing Cameron tonight. Like I just happened to be interviewing him hours before he was going to interview you. It's such a weird connection, man. Like
That's
so.
crazy. That's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like such a small world thing. So,
Yeah, that was a really flattering moment when they reached out because I've been a fan of Artificial Brain,
dude,
since I don't know how the hell they came on the scene, but like I feel like when they came out, it was like I instantly knew about them. I
yeah,
don't know how. Like I don't remember anyone showing me them or what. I just remember like here they were, and I was like, okay. Like
yeah,
it sounded it was like ulcerate, but like had these brutal vocals that were like done right. Like it had the right
hmm,
tones and the right like
like cadence
progression,
too.
cadence. Like
Yeah,
I was about it. I was like, this
hmm,
is sick. It was like moody, extreme music that like it has like texture and it has emotion, but it's like in the right production.
yeah.
Like that.
It's got that charm. Like it's just like its own thing, and has like they've just like kind of defined their sound. And yeah, they just they nobody's doing what they're doing quite like they're doing, in my opinion. You know, like just
Definitely.
the pairing of musicians. They just got Oleg. They just got a third guitarist who's now like, you know, he's been helping them write stuff. But dude, I cannot wait to hear. You know, he's like featured a lot more on this album. I mean, Will, of course, like, you know, one of the legendary death metal vocalists, in my opinion, and just crazy lyricist too. Like really nut shit that we talked about as well. I mean, you have some pretty cosmic level stuff yourself, actually, written on some of that stuff. So. Are you
Thank
a
you.
fan of like any of that like cosmic core stuff? Like I've asked like most of my interviewees this, but like stuff like either Lovecraft or just like horror or sci-fi stuff that kind of maybe inspires like some of those lyrics or something.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that whole style is like kind of a Lovecraftian thing. Like I mean, I'm sure it comes from the same things he would think of because
Hmm.
his stuff has always been kind of hard for me to follow.
Hmm.
I mean, I understand a lot of the concepts and like things and themes he's kind of like building and like,
Hmm.
layers on layers of stuff. And I think writing lyrics, it's been fun because I can kind of like make like a kind of like a scenario and then just like write cryptically about like a already cryptic scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to say I started doing that when I started writing the Burning the Masses stuff. I haven't looked at those lyrics in forever.
There's
Um,
definitely some elements of that, like as far back as Sleeper, for sure. Like
Definitely. Yeah,
all
I
the
mean
ones.
that's a Cthulhu kind of reference right
Yeah,
there,
yeah. Like all of the ones with Lady in it, the Queen Kingdom, Lady Epicenter, Daughter of Depths, the Ocean Tomb, like it's very much in that kind of uh fear of the unknown type stuff, like that's right up my I actually like have like I have everything that Lovecraft has written, like either here or you can actually read everything that he's written online for free now because it's so old, including like correspondence between him and other authors, and say what you will
Wow.
about him as a person, like he's obviously uh, has some glaring flaws about him, but
Yeah, I had no
his work,
idea.
man, is just insane. Yeah, well, he was like a blatant racist, and it's not only was it a product of the time and like just his like financial situation, he was not like really okay. He had like a crazy upbringing and stuff, and a pretty rough life, as I have read it, but man, I
Huh.
mean, it led to some of my favorite media. So for sure, he's kind of like one of the people that I think about building almost like one of the earliest like cinematic universes kind of thing. Like I almost think of it as like, how Marvel is like this kind of collection of heroes and villains. He just kind of had his own kind of collection of this like pantheon of some villainous, but some completely well-meaning entities. Just crazy shit he came up with. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just nuts, man. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's definitely been I've had uh I've got the Call of Cthulhu and other mythos. I got those
Hmm.
books and I've got art books from him and I got turned on to him from the one of the old guitar players in Disfiguring the Goddess named Joe Broad.
Nice.
He was really into H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu and whatnot. And he kind of like showed me all that stuff, and it
Hmm.
definitely is like the theme and the vibe of like how I like to write and like talking about weird things and
Yeah.
you kind of nailed it. I think you're really picking it up. I
Oh yeah,
think
yeah.
Soothe was the first like kind of not total departure from that, but kind of like really got simple. Like I started to write out the lyrics because they've all been just written in notebooks. It was the first
Hmm.
album where it was just in notebooks. It wasn't like I didn't have like a Google Doc with all the lyrics in it or something,
Hmm.
or like on my phone or whatever. And like when I wrote some of these things down, like they were super simple, and I was
Hmm.
like, this is dope. I think Caterpillar kind of departs from that a little bit, but it's still very Lovecraftian and sci-fi. I always consider the lyrics of Disfiguring sci-fi horror.
Yeah,
Like it
yeah.
was just like made up things. I loved using the same concepts a
Hmm.
lot, like mountains or you know
Yeah, a lot,
something
lot of, a lot of
old.
mountain stuff, a lot of mountain stuff
Yeah,
as
a
well.
lot
Yeah.
of ocean stuff too.
Uh-huh.
A lot of reference to like a lady or a mother or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's
weird.
just can always be kind of like just kind of interpreted in this like creepy or just like unknown factor, way. It leaves you wanting more, and I think that's what's important. Like really in any form of media, like you want to be like, whoa, wait a minute, like one of the best things that I've ever been or that I've ever heard is from this drum lesson, and I am blanking on the guy's name, gonna have to look it up later. I'll link it. But he said that if you want people to hear you, be quieter. You know what I mean? Or say less, really. You know what I mean? And in a way, I feel like that's kind of true, right? If you lay it out in front of them, if you give away your movie in a trailer, if you write everything of the story in the lyrics, you know, you're not leaving anything to be desired. It's like, man, I don't know. I can't think of another analogy. You know, it's like, what's better than seeing a pair of tits, seeing side boob? You know what I mean? Like it's like that. Like if you leave a little something to the imagination, it's even better, or it could be. You know what I mean? Like.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I always think that, especially like with the way women dress. I'm like, just don't put it out there.
Right.
Dress
Yeah.
nice.
Right.
It's like
You got to be like built to spill and keep it like a secret. You know. So.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've never been a fan of like super risque style of dressing. I mean, some people pull it off really well, but it's like, I don't know. But yeah, 100%. That's why I think that it's like, if you covered up a little bit more, it'd honestly be probably, everyone would probably think it was, men would especially think it was sexier in a way.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're putting it all out there, you got to charge for the lemonade at the stand. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Yeah.
you gotta name your price, have some
Yeah.
some more worth or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. Obviously, some people really pull it off really well. There's
Yeah.
definitely women who look great wearing all kinds of crazy stuff that I never thought I would think would be a good idea.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, you look good.
Hey, pulling it off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really clutch thing to. There's a lot of like sayings like that. Like one I always liked was sometimes the most important notes you play are the ones you don't.
Oh yeah, dude. As a drummer, that's like maybe the single most important thing that I have had to take to heart is like sitting back and actively listening instead of just trying to do, what I want to show everybody or something. You know what I mean? So I absolutely agree with you there.
There's some new bits on this newer Disfiguring record I'm working on where it's like there's like whole sections of the song where there's like no cymbals. It's just straight like tom grooves, and like every once in a while you have like a one cymbal, and then like when the little rest, and when it comes in you'll have the cymbal going on. And it's like ooh, or you leave the snare out for a while. That's always huge with drummers. It's like
yeah,
that always reminds me of that Hate Eternal song, the something rain. It's off Behold Judas. What's that song called? The Victorious Rain. It's like Derek Roddy classic song. He's like,
oh, Derek Roddy. Dude.
Yeah, he's
amazing.
Bringing it in. There's all these cymbal swells and double bass, and then like when Eric Rutan comes in, he just starts going with the blast, and it's like, it's so badass. Like, yeah,
he's got an amazing lesson on Drumeo, and he's got like I'm not sure if it's a solo project of his, but it's like Serpents. Man, I'm blanking on it, man. Put me on the spot, but yeah, it's Serpents something. It's this awesome project, dude. Like you should definitely check it out if you haven't. But just type in Derek Roddy like on Spotify or something eventually, and he's got like some really really badass drum work. And if he does the guitar, he's killing it on that as well. I'm sure he probably had another musician do it or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, he's inspiring to me as well. Taught me a lot about like speed with blast beats and stuff, controlling the left hand and not having to go quiet on blast beats and stuff. Like he's incredible, dude. He's really good. Underrated for sure.
Underrated for sure. But yeah, imagination and leaving things to the imagination is like nothing's more powerful than an individual's imagination. Like nothing will cause more stress than your imagination. Nothing will cause more desire than your imagination.
Yeah. Nothing can be like better. That's why books are always going to be better. Prime example, right? Like, because you were forced to put your own spin on it, unless you're some sort of crazy person who is able to not picture stuff when you read it. You know what I mean? Which I don't really have the ability to do, but yeah, it's just like puts it right there for you. Like yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it's kind of like with Sue that I didn't release the lyrics. I put out a couple.
Yeah, I was looking.
Videos. yeah, everyone's been looking. It's funny. Like it's I know it's a thing, but like you know, for some reason I knew when Soothe came out that people were really gonna want to know what I was saying, and like
I do.
withholding
I
that
do.
has been really funny. Like people are like, "What the hell are you saying on this song?" And it's like, like I'm gonna wait. It's funny too because the next time I come out with, I'm gonna drop all the lyrics like right away.
Oh
And
man.
people are gonna be like, "What
That's
the
cruel and
hell?"
unusual, man. But
Yeah.
okay, so I know the move groove part is like definitely a standout. Like when I first heard that, like, and I know you know what I'm talking about. You have this little like space where it just has the double bass before it starts up, like, right? Okay, the move
Hmm.
groove part. But then I didn't actually catch it the first time, but on the hill, I think you say slick, right? On one of the drum roll parts. Do you say slick at one point? It's like
I don't.
slick. Like it's so I think you just say slick, or that's what it sounds like. But dude, it's incredible. Like
Oh man,
I must have rewound that like 10 times, no shit, when I first heard it in the car on the way to Denton. Like it's so good, man.
that's so great. That's
You know what? Okay, when I do my playthrough of it, that's probably the song I'm going to try to do a playthrough of or whatever. I'll try to look at the camera, give you a fourth wall slick whenever it's there.
you have
Dude,
to. You have to.
it's
That would be so good.
it
That would be
is yeah.
so good.
That slick is sick for sure. Like
That's amazing. That's
yeah, I love it,
amazing.
dude. I
Yeah,
love it.
that was. I feel like yeah, that album's sick. Like it's in chronological order of like when I wrote it too. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
first song's the first song I wrote, last song is the last song I wrote, and it just like
Oh
you
wow.
know I cleaned it up as I went. Like when I wrapped it up, it's like I was able to blend them all together. Cause like
That's got to feel great, dude. Like the planets aligning, man. Like that's great.
definitely, definitely.
That's cool.
But so Soothe kind of comes from the next album with Garrett McGeehan.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I was living in Nevada. I was kind of like rebuilding my foundations in life. I was like, you know, building my body out, building my mind out, and I mean that's kind of a spiritual process in its own.
Yeah, yeah. You addressed that on the some of the Cam everyday vlogs as well. It was like really interesting, man. Really honest, like candid vlogs. Like that's good content as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I need
Mm-hmm.
to really get back with that because I feel like I need to follow it up with like, you know, how it's what's going on, you know. But
Yeah,
I mean, I think if you can follow me anywhere, you can kind of like tell like it's going well again.
dude.
But
Yeah, I mean this in the nicest way possible. Yeah, like you're looking great. You know, feeling great. Like you can tell. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm like having that you know, I'm just like it's I'm just been so I guess busy, but in a good way. Like I'm every day I'm trying to like figure out how to like take more things out and like get
Yeah,
more done every day.
you're
So
you're
it's
leveling up, man. You know?
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I'm, you know, leaning into it. Some people level up and they're
Mm.
like sick and they're like, you know, they're there, but like I'm like,
They
no.
rest on their laurels. You can't do that, you know?
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
definitely leaning into it. So yeah, so I was doing all that. I was writing Caterpillar, and I was kind of like towards the end of the process. Like I think I had most of it vocally done. It was all instrumentally written. I was still kind of messing around with the mix a little bit.
Hmm.
Like I wanted like I wanted that vibe, like a demo vibe, but kind of polished. I think through the polishing effect, I kind of like got away from the demo vibe. Um, and then so when Garrett started doing the other project, I started, you know, I was working with Garrett all the time on his new project, and we started a project together. We only did 2 tracks. We called it Seraphim back in the day, and
Oh yeah.
I
Hmm.
was like, let's do that again. Like, why don't you come? He was living in Reno. I was like, why don't you come down to the valley and let's just like write music, and we can call it. We could start the side project up again, Seraphim. And then he was like, yeah. He's like the coolest guy. Like we're you know great friends. There's like things that I send him that like I'd never send to anybody else. I just have like I don't know. We have like this funny connection, and like we're just like really goofy around each other, and like we're just awesome. And Garrett's awesome. Like everybody I know who knows Garrett like just thinks he's the coolest person, and rightfully so. He really is. And he's on Instagram as @SwineWizard. So shout out to Swine Wizard.
That's a great fucking name.
Yeah, on the album I credit him like Garrett, and then in quotes Swine Wizard McGee.
Oh, dude, yeah. Just go ahead and put that on the tombstone too.
Yeah. I credit like Cameron Big Chocolate Argon, and then Garrett Swine Wizard McGee.
Yeah.
It's like so sick, so metal, like stage name. Big Chocolate's like the most unmetal stage name, but that's kind of why I picked it. Is it initially
that's what makes it great, though.
Yeah, initially was a stage name for myself in Disfiguring. So it's kind of funny that I'm using it like that still.
I don't know, man. When you think about it, it's pretty metal. It's heavy, it's dark, it's sweet. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's really served me well. It's like it's really become like a persona, and it's funny. Like I've leaned into that too. I've like definitely leaned away from it, and then now I'm kind of leaning back into it. Like people would be like, "What's your name?" And I used to say Cameron, and people would never get it. And now I'm just going like Big Chocolate, and people are laughing. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like I don't know. I'm still getting it down. I always say Cameron Big Chocolate Argon. Like I just like get it out there every time. That's my name.
But like it's on a heavyweight title or something. King of Slam. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm a UFC fighter or something. They're all UFC fighters always have the sickest nicknames. It's like necessary. I love it.
Right.
So he was coming down, and the first time he came down, I think we wrote 2 songs right away, and the process is awesome. Like, so here's something cool too, is all the lyrics on the next album are all written by Garrett. But something about the way he writes lyrics, they really, really remind me of the way I write lyrics. And they have like a very similar thing going on. Like he's always been really good at writing lyrics, but this next stuff is like, it's so good. Like, I couldn't have written them better myself for this record. It's perfect, And
strong endorsement there,
Huge endorsement. Like I love Garrett. Like I think that's going to be a really weird thing when because people are always like, you should work with so and so and work with so and so, and they're always like vocalists that I'm like A, don't know, or B, like don't listen to. I'm like, I don't know what that's gonna do. I mean, I like when people think of me or think of other people together and stuff. It's cool, but like Garrett and I like really vibe out, and to me it's really like a vibe thing. Like I gotta like kind of mix with someone to like. I mean, now I'm gonna try and be a lot more open to like making things happen. But I think like especially up until this point, I was all about like if I really like felt the connection. I mean, I still would probably be pretty guarded about that type of connection, but who knows? So I think people are gonna be like, what the hell? Like you're working with like someone who we've never heard of, but it's like really like the full circle element of it. And so he would write the lyrics, and I would be writing the music. And I recorded live bass on Caterpillar and this next album.
Oh, nice.
Which was awesome because it was like a total another thing. When I program the bass, it's definitely an element, and when I play the bass, it's definitely an element. It's like both like really influence like the songwriting and the song vibe and stuff, and I think the production too. But so I would write everything. Guitar, bass, guitar, drums, and then I'd be vibing with Garrett the whole time. Like we'd both be like, in it. It's like you're very inspired by like us sitting in a room the whole time, and that kind of like jam essence of like, when I'm hitting it, and we're both like, yeah, like we're just super down with it. And the bass, I'd do the bass, and then he would have the lyrics done, and then I would record the whole song, and then I would record Garrett. Like I'd place all the vocals, and I would have aspects where I would do the vocals, and I know Garrett would redo it, or I would do parts that I think Garrett could, just like do on his own, or like, we'd do extra things when he was actually recording, but I would typically like place everything, and then Garrett could and when I would do Garrett's parts, I would think about Garrett when I was doing the vocals, and then I would just have Garrett redo those parts. And
right.
He's got a brutal brutal voice. Like his lows kind of sound like a yell, and it literally reminds me of like if someone's like trying to break down your front door with like their fists. Like they're just
Oh,
like
nice.
so enraged. They're just like they're coming in where you are at to get you no matter what. It's like a battle roar. It's
Yeah.
brutal. These high screams are like the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. Um yeah, I think it's gonna be kind of confusing to people too, because like I do a fair amount of high screams on the new album, and
Mhm.
Garrett does a lot of high screams on the new album. So it's like we have different high screams. So there's like kind of like a nice polarizing high,
Yeah, I mean,
chemistry
I
on.
would say let him be confused, because if anything, it's just another texture in there, and yeah, I can't wait to hear it, dude. Like, I think that'll
Yeah,
be cool. Like,
it's cool. It's cool.
actually,
But
that reminds me of like a Gore Apocalypse, something with like Kat and like the two other vocalists. It's just like always changing. It's like a vocal onslaught. I love that shit. So
yeah, yeah.
mhm.
No, the new album's very much so like that. Like we hit pockets and we do like what's appropriate, but like, we're also like
For the groovement.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. The groovement is with this one, and it's awesome. Like I think both of us have like great shine on this album vocally. It's awesome. I'm really proud of it, and I'm really proud. Well, we did a couple songs, and I called Garrett, and I was like, "Hey, this is like just a Disfiguring the Goddess record. Like this sounds like Disfiguring the Goddess. It feels like Disfiguring the Goddess. Like let's just make it a Disfiguring the Goddess record, and we'll call it Seraphim or Age of the Seraphim because actually that song was kind of like an ode to like that project. And then
You
as
mean
I
the
got
song
close,
from Circles 9 or Circles 9?
uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And when I got closer to putting it out, I didn't want to call it Seraphim anymore. I didn't want to. I just didn't like the name. Like I didn't like the origins of the name. I didn't want to like
Mhm.
mix like
That
religious
lore with it.
words with
Yeah.
like metal. I just didn't feel it just didn't feel right to me. So
Right.
like we changed the name kind of to a name that I initially made to be a different project with my one of my best friends, Parker Winans, aka Scum Choir on Instagram. Awesome, awesome, awesome painter, artist, person, just all around awesome.
Scum Choir, you said?
Scum Choir, super cool. And like we're both like really, really, really into Emperor. So like I wanted to
Oh,
make a
dude.
project with him. We lived together during this time when I made this album with Garrett too.
Uh-huh.
And it was cool because he plays like a six string and he has like the sick Jackson, and like I was playing the eight string and we were playing together on stuff, and like we had like this chemistry of like he would play one riff and I'd play a different riff, but they'd like go together,
Mhm.
and like that reminds me a lot of Emperor too. Like
Mhm.
those guys would play different riffs constantly, and it just you know that's one of the sickest bands I think around is Emperor for sure. Like
Highly,
so
highly
fast.
influential. I mean, that's another band too. Like, no matter how much recognition they get, they will probably still be underrated. I mean, they've been around for forever and just are. I mean, you can go back and there's still some stuff that is still some of the most brutal stuff you'll hear instrumentally, vocally. I mean, they have some. Yeah, they're up there for me with like Blaze in the Northern Sky by Dark Fortress or anything like that. It's like you know, or Dark Throne. Sorry, Dark Fortress. Shout out to Dark Fortress. They're badass too.
Yeah, yeah.
I think while I'm on the topic, Satan Bled by Dark Fortress, one of the heaviest songs ever written. If you have not heard it, I want to hear it on a Disfiguring the podcast. Satan Bled. It's so good, man. It's absolutely insane. It's more like
Ooh,
almost like a thrashy type thing for them, which is weird, but yeah, so good. Uh,
amazing.
but yeah, it's crazy. And vocalist Emperor, his side project is really, really good as well. Actually, like
So
or
good.
his solo project, yeah,
So good. It's
sick album art
really
too with
impressive.
that the throne with just that like skull on top. Man, the candles,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
evocative for sure.
And he's very experimental.
Mhm.
To me, an eight-string guitar is a very in experimental instrument. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't really feel like a guitar. It kind of feels like a different type of thing. And
Mhm.
I think he is like done really well with like low-tuned instruments and I don't know. Like to me, like Emperor has like the lowest tuning of like any like black metal band, you know, and like
Mm.
you would call them a black metal band for sure, but like some of those um like Prometheus, that album, that's like
Mm.
I don't know. Like it really, I think it does it a big disservice calling it like just a black metal record. It's like
Yeah.
one of the sickest heavy music records of all time. It's definitely metal. It's like, it's just like, I don't know. There's something to it. And I've listened to that album countless times. And it's
Hmm.
just like, it's kind of like a really good movie where it's like anytime you resume it or like any song you start with, it's like, all right, like I'll finish it. You know,
Yeah,
like
it's
I'll
like
watch the rest.
like seeing a friend after a while, and it's like you never left. You know, like
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Or it's like,
Uh,
or like when you watch, like when Casino's on TV, or like Goodfellas is like a big one.
Goodfellas. I right when you said that, I was like, I can't. I just got to get to the scene where he beats that guy's face with the butt of the gun. You know, like,
Yeah,
and if you're
yeah,
that far, you might as well finish it. You know, so
exactly. So
yeah.
Prometheus is kind of like that for me. And my buddy Parker and I, like, we've always, like, since we were little kids,
Yeah.
loved Emperor. And it's like, I think between the two of us, like, that's been our like most mutual favorite band for like probably ever. I mean, we saw Meshuggah for the first time together when we were
Hmm.
like maybe 14 or something. So I think
Hmm.
we both have a sweet spot for Meshuggah, but Emperor has been that band. And
Hmm.
I mean, I still have those tracks we recorded. I should open them up. They were sick. And I would like to do more with him, but we live far apart. And
Hmm.
I don't know. But yeah, we were going to call that project Blood Animal, which I thought was like
Blood
the
animal.
coolest name ever. And
That's it.
Garrett thought it was the coolest name ever.
Uh-huh.
I actually haven't brought this up to Parker, but we decided to call the new Disfiguring the Goddess record Blood Animal. And I think it's just like the artwork, like Omar did the artwork, and like it's like it's so sick. But so the way the record goes is
It
like
kind of is an animal at this
it
point.
kind of is. Like it's so I started writing it before I finished Caterpillar,
Hmm.
and I think we had 6 sessions on it, maybe five,
Hmm.
and we wrote 11 songs on those 5, 6 trips. Like we were animals. Like we just
Yeah,
like
y'all are
bust.
clicking.
Yeah, oh yeah. We were super, super productive. And like when we were in the studio, it literally felt like we were in there for like, it's like you could tell we were in there for a while because like we were tired when we were finished, but like there was not like a lot of downtime. Like we were just like,
Yeah. You never you'll never work a day in your life, right? If you're doing what you love. What they say.
yeah,
So
exactly. And so we killed the whole process. We loved the vibes. And I actually started Soothe before we finished Blood Animal. Like
mhm.
the way Blood Animal ends is like kind of was like how Soothe became a thing. Like I started getting into these patterns and styles of like incorporating samples and incorporating grooves and like using certain tempos to kind of perpetuate the use of samples and the use of grooves.
Mhm.
And like I was like, this is like Garrett and I are both on like cloud nine of like what we were doing. Like it started off like a death metal record, and I was doing Disfiguring the Goddess stuff on it. Like I was using samples and you know using keys and stuff. There's actually like those earlier songs on the record. I actually went in post added a lot more samples into it. Like when I after I moved away from Nevada and moved to Austin.
Mhm.
Um, but like at the end, like I was like experimenting with like drum beats, like drum loops, and then like in samples and like making them into Disfiguring the Goddess songs, basically. Like kind of like Would You Agree or something.
Mhm.
How it has that drum loop and a sample, and it kind of like persists throughout the whole song.
Yeah, and also that very like that kind of Zen like synth that kind of washes like over you again and again. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
very 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 like again, it's like relaxing, soothing. It's like really nailed it on the name, bro. Like yeah, absolutely perfect. So yeah.
Thanks, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't remember how the name came about, but that was definitely like that's why it was named that, is because that's kind of like the effect it had. You know, it
Mm-hmm.
had this repetitive thing to it. It's like within the songs, they're like have this repetitive nature to it. Like there's like I think it's in Soothe where like there's just like a siren for like 2 minutes. It just
Oh
like
yeah,
keeps
yeah.
going on, keeps
That
ringing.
that alarm type thing, yeah.
Yeah. And then the album like repeats itself really, really well. Like when it finishes, you want to
Oh
start it
yeah.
again.
I mean, I literally just have it on repeat, like especially like, last couple days too, man. I mean, it's just been I don't know. It's just been like such an earworm, a mind infection, if you will. You know what I mean? It's literally
Mm-hmm.
just been like just kind of like can't get it out of my head. And I actually want to touch on some of the samples that you use too. I mean, I've heard everything from like drill bits back in the day and stuff, but I swear there's like a chain link fence being hit or like some chains in there on this one and stuff, like there's
Yeah.
just the wood blocker kind of chirp thing right off the bat at the beginning. Like there's just so many just interesting things, man. Like the kind of like sounds like it's like a girl's vocals, on not only machine controlling but all through echo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it that house like that trance like relaxing quality, man. Like and I know I'm not the only person. I mean, like I was just talking to my girlfriend's like new friend who was like, "Oh, I go to sleep to metal. I don't understand how people like can't go to sleep listening to Dead Congregation." I'm like, "I'm the same way." Like same thing here too. Like literally, like I'll like just have an incantation record on, or like while I'm going to sleep. So yeah, and it's just slots right in there so well, man. Like it's so exciting but so relaxing at the same time. It's like it's something, man. Like it's definitely its own thing. So crushing it, dude.
Crushing it. I love it.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, man. It's
of course, dude.
it's part of the groovement.
Yes, yes, dude. I'm so happy that's gonna stick. Love that, dude.
um, yeah, there's elements on Soothe that are meant to like trigger like emotional responses that I don't know what it's gonna like hit. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's I put something into it, and I feel like what I put into it, it's gonna put out to other people, but it's gonna make them feel their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, I felt one way going into it, and it has like this product from it, but if someone else taps it, it's gonna make them feel not the way not what I'm putting into it, but what they are getting, like internalizing from it.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a mark of some of the best art of any form out there. Is to where it can be self-interpreted. It's relatable in its own way, and maybe even like abstract or nostalgic in some form. You know what I mean? Like it just like gives you this feeling. Some sort of quality that you like. That's endearing or something. So definitely has that.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I love that. I love like talking about it too, and like because everyone I've been talking about it with has been like genuinely passionate about it, and like I've never like heard or described or felt a record like Soothe, and I think the people I'm talking about it with kind of feel the same way. Like it's definitely like a weird little thing that
Hmm.
like you just like people are like putting their finger on it, like what it is and stuff, but they're also like not, and they're not able to they can't really connect it to other things yet.
Hmm.
Um, which is what I think is like the beginning of like of the groovement, basically.
Yes, dude. Yeah.
It
Perfect. Perfect. That's like fucking
really is.
fantastic. Yeah, it really is,
So
dude. Okay. Man, I gotta ask an important question. Okay, I gotta put you on the spot. I ask all bands this too, or all the artists, I should say, all the kings of slam. Okay, which you are yourself. So we talked a little bit about like what it sounds like and stuff, and I want to ask two different things, right? Like one, what Disfiguring the Goddess as a whole sounds like if it were a dish, but also what just Soothe would be like if it were a dish, like something that you eat. Do you have any idea what you think it would be? Maybe I can give you mine, like if you need a second. Okay, so to me, it sounds like something where it's all heavy, but it's also super satisfying. surprisingly comforting. So it started getting me thinking like some sort of comfort food or something. It reminds me of maybe like a slab of like a 60-day aged dry beef or something, and then maybe like a small portion of like poutine, with some cheese curds or something, right? It's like it's got this sticky quality. It's like got this almost cheesy quality, super heavy, super satisfying. Like that's probably what I would place it at. What do you think? What do you think if it were a dish? How would you describe it?
I have to go with like a soup.
A soup. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that's tasty. You could slurp it up, right? Like I can kind of see that.
Yeah, like I'm feeling like
It's
some kind of
hearty.
like bone brothy soup, like a pho.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's like a real
Oh
bone,
fuck yeah.
bones just boiling in a pot forever, and then
Right.
like you
It's
get this like richness, like the bone, like the bones, the
I
minerals
love
from the
that.
bone, like the marrow from the bone, you
It's
know.
got death incorporated in it, but it's sweet and it's savory. Yeah, I think you're,
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely hitting on something there too.
There's like a new umami to it. There's like some
Oh
gelatinous aspects to it from the
yeah,
bones boiling down.
definitely yeah, this like kind of like fatty, yeah, almost bouncy type quality or something. I could definitely see that, especially on
Yeah,
Soothe, man. Definitely got the fatty bouncy quality on Soothe, man. Love
that's
it.
a real good question. Like that's a nice way to like think about it because I think going into the future of the groovement and like
Mm.
2.0 for lack of better words,
All right,
like
which we're all on the front lines of right now. Let it be known.
definitely, yeah. It's interesting because like there's the next record coming out, which is the record before Soothe,
Hmm.
which has like the it's the predecessor not only in timeline but also it like directly inspired Soothe.
It's the prequel to the sequel, to take words out of BT Bam's mouth, right?
Definitely. And
Hmm.
like it literally was started from me doing Caterpillar. So it was like had like it was coming off of like that same energy and that same like kind of workflow with like the live bass and whatnot.
Hmm.
And it ended with like where Soothe is. And like I remember the last session Garrett and I had, I showed him um the first two tracks or the first three tracks. I think I had half of Soothe, the track three written,
Hmm.
and I showed him like those tracks, and he was like, "Damn, like this is crazy." And yeah, because we were kind of writing stuff like that together, and I just like he left, and he went home, and then I was like, not the same day, but the next day, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna write some stuff that's like there's a pocket I'm hitting with these tracks we're doing, and Soothe is kind of an expression of that pocket, and it's nice because it stops like it just like when I lost the flow of it, like when I was
Hmm.
like finished with it, it just was like done, and that's why it's short. That's also why it flows so well, and that's also why it's so repeatable. It's because it's
Yeah.
just this is it. Like I'm not gonna try and make it longer than it needs to be. This is it.
Yeah, I just thought, just randomly, while you were talking, of like a perfect analogy for, or in my mind anyway, it's like a skipping stone. It's still
Mm.
heavy, it's still super heavy, it's still super, rock, it's still dense, but it's like smoother, it's softer, it's as soft as like a rock can be. Not soft rock, not talking like, Third Eye Blind here or whatever, but like,
Yeah.
something that's like, and the repeatability kind of just, the skipping stone thing kind of came to my mind or whatever. It's like, yeah, just throw it out there, put it on loop, like still heavy, but
Hmm.
almost graceful.
Yeah. Yeah. So the things. I mean, I'm looking forward to all this action coming out. I think it's going to be fun for everybody and fun for myself. Like with the next record with Garrett coming out, and then
Hmm.
the 2015 record is going to come out. I think after that, and then Suit 2.0 is going to come out. And Suit 2.0, I've written a fair amount of it, and I feel like the first few tracks I was trying to like get a stride. I'm happy with like those tracks, but like the last I think 3 or 4 tracks I've written, like they're really really cool, and like they have like this like you could tell I'm trying to like unleash what I'm hitting at, but it's also like written post Soothe. So like Soothe came out, it's like we're all experiencing it together for what it is and what's happening. And like I'm kind of like inspired by that, but I'm I'm not just like gonna turn that into one record, you know? Like it's really gonna be a groovement. You know what I mean? Like
he's got this like locomotion going. All aboard, people.
yeah, like I can see I can see it, and I just know it just needs the action. Like if I just apply it, and it's gonna just start happening, and like I think it's gonna happen kind of at a rate that I think will be like not think, but it's gonna be prolific. Like it's gonna be
It's a perfect word, yeah.
yeah. Like there's just gonna be I'm gonna be like I like thinking of it as like when you're playing I think I've used this already, but like playing baseball, like getting a base hit, like
Yeah.
you know, there's a wide range of like ways you can like you know play
Like
that game.
play the field, yeah. Like
Yeah, like you know,
you're setting up homers, you know.
yeah, like I like to look at Sue. That's definitely like Sue definitely got me on base, you know. And I think as it like the year continues, because these new records are gonna come out, but I'm gonna continuously promote and back Soothe.
Mm-hmm.
Like when these new records
As
come
you
out, I'm
should,
gonna
as you
push
definitely
it.
should.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna be neat as like promoting all these new records, but like also continuously promoting Soothe. I just think it needs it, and
Yeah,
it
man.
should be, you know. And like that's something too is like Soothe. I think will continuously keep giving, and like I'm following it up. Like I'm doing Soothe 2.0, and it's really gonna start opening up. Like you know, like there's 2.0 is like an experimental version of Soothe in a way. And I think Soothe 3.0 is already kind of forming in my head as like kind of a real follow-up to Soothe for like kind of like like these analogies we're using. Like it's like a you know a skipping stone. Like that's like a great like analogy for I think the true Soothe 2.0, which I think is
Slamby and Boogaloo, right? Soothe
yeah
2, Slamby and Boogaloo. Yeah.
yeah it's going down. I think that's gonna be not this next album I'm writing, but the album after that might be it. I'm gonna try and hit that, you know, hit that ball essentially, you know, and get on base with it. You know, this predecessor I'm writing right now to Sue that I it's gonna get on base, but you know, it's you know, I don't think it's the real. I don't know. Who knows? Like, there's definitely tracks on it that are like
Bangers, just straight bangers.
straight bangers. Like I was showing Michael from Barbaric Brutality them, and we were driving around in my car, and it just was like a good time. Like I just was like putting on these tunes, and we are just talking about like what it reminds us of, and it you could just tell we were both excited about like how we were talking and what we were talking about. Like Michael was definitely stoked. Like it was fun, and like that's obviously fun for me as well. And you know, it like yeah, I like it because that's kind of what I think music should be like too. It's like you kind of want music to kind of create a vibe. I don't really want it like music to make music where everyone needs to like listen to it to get it. It's like I think it kind of should perpetuate an energy without you really thinking about it doing that. It's kind of like a subliminal thing I really think a lot about with music. And I don't know when I figured or started really getting into that, but it was a maybe like within the last 5 years. I got really into. I mean, I was listening to music constantly around the clock and all kinds of music. I was really diversifying what I was listening to, and you know, all eras, all styles, and you know, kind of creating like flow through it all, like just literally being able to like make a mix that lasted all day just on the fly, but also do it in like a social, like I could do it by myself, with myself, but I could do it in social environments too.
Mhm.
And I got really into like room DJing where I would bring like a Bluetooth speaker everywhere I'd go. And like when I'd meet up with people, I mean anyone, like I'd bring the speaker to like when I'd go to my parents' house or like hang out with like my family, like if it's my aunts all hanging out, my mom and like
Mhm.
people just like sitting around, I'd bring my speaker and I would like low key turn it on and connect and start playing music at a volume where no one would like it wasn't like wouldn't have to talk over it,
Mhm.
it just was like kind of pumping pumping the pace. And I like those Bose speakers and has like a nice kind of mine's like the SoundLink 2. It's like it has a directional uh angle, but the back of
Mhm.
it has it creates low end off the back end too. Like they make like a 360 speaker,
Mhm.
which I haven't really experimented too much with. I think there's two different sizes of it, which is cool. I think it'd be cool to mess around with them. But my little Bose, I'll put like usually like in a corner, or I'll put it on like a surface somewhere. And I knew where to position it to get the most out of the sound and to create like the best sound when in whatever room or environment I was in, if it
Mhm.
was outside or what have you. And I got really into playing and catering music to perpetuate the vibe and the conversation and kind of direct the experience without anyone thinking about the music.
Yeah, you're like a good director. Like some of the best directors or like editors go unnoticed because if you're doing something really distracting or something, then you may be taking away from what you're actually presenting, or maybe something like good weather. Like it's not like you said, it's not something you have to like talk over. You're gonna have the same conversations maybe, but if you got good weather when you're hanging out on a day or something, that's the positive vibe as well or something. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a free service you're providing. You may have to start charging. So.
Yeah, seriously. But I mean, when I DJ at the clubs, I have that kind of like that's like kind of what I'm trying to get down now is like, you know, it's it's like when there's people talking, it's easy to kind of hit that, and like you can kind of like I can try a few things to try to hit that right off the back, and
Mhm.
like people get kind of used to it too. Like when I'm like with certain groups of people, like they kind of know I do that well, so like people will just give me their phones if I don't have my phone, and like play music. Here's the aux cord, and like
That's awesome, dude. That's a
they,
gift.
yeah, and they know I'm not gonna play stuff where I'm like everybody listen to this. It's like no, I'm gonna play like the best background music you've ever heard. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and you're never gonna notice it, but maybe you will. Maybe I'll play something you're gonna like. It depends. It's
Hmm.
there's been countless times where I've DJ'd rooms or small groups of people, or even if it's just one other person, where like you're kind of like putting on background music to perpetuate um the experience.
Hmm.
And I do that. I've been doing that now as a DJ because we've been playing twice a week. We have two weeklies here, one in San Marcos. Both are called Lifted
Hmm.
with Crisley.
Yeah,
He,
I just saw one. One I think was just posted like a week or two ago. I want to say.
yeah, we do them every week,
Hmm.
two of them, every
Oh, okay,
single
okay.
week, and they're both free. It's awesome.
Oh, nice, nice.
Yeah, so if you guys know like the EDM scene in Texas, especially like Central Texas, then you probably know Crisley, and then you
Hmm.
probably know Lifted, which is like his weekly party he's done in Austin, and I think he did it in San Antonio as well.
Hmm.
And we've brought it back, and we've got two of them now, and there's like a good crew of us that are kind of like behind it, and we're really got into DJing hardcore last year. Like a lot of producers went into either producing a lot or they went. I mean, a lot of them went into DJing a lot because of Twitch and stuff. But I think they were like mainly into Twitch. They were also into DJing, but like Chris and I got obsessed with DJing,
Hmm.
and like we just were constantly talking about it and whatnot, and developing it and whatnot. And I'm trying to kind of like well, I am. I'm definitely hitting it, but it's like every week we call it the gym.
Hmm.
Like it's like going to the gym because we have
Doing work.
Yeah, like every week we get together twice and basically work out, and it's like our, I mean, we don't own the clubs, but it's like our night, so it's like it
Yeah.
kind of feels like our club, But we do that like when I play, I'm not like I feel like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Like I think people look at it the opposite, where the DJ is like at the top, like oh the DJ, But I literally am like at the bottom. Like it's like the everybody there is like to me like more appreciated than like I appreciate them I think more than they appreciate me, like from the bartenders to the service girls to the bouncers and like obviously to the dancers, like the dancers are like everyone like so as a DJ I'm trying to create that energy that I'm creating with a small speaker and like a small group of people, but I'm trying to create it for like the people who are there, the staff, the bartenders, the people at the door, the people in the crowd, the people at the bar, the people on the tables, the people dancing. Like I'm literally trying to get everyone to like, I'm trying to create like a buzz in the air. And it's cool with like dance music because a lot of it is made to be like mixed together, you
Hmm.
know? And there's definitely like I'm getting, like we go to the gym every week, so I'm getting stronger every week at it. And
The actual gym.
yeah. The clubs.
Hmm.
Um and I just feel myself getting stronger at it. And I'm starting to hear like Chris Crisley will comment on it sometimes, like at Summit, which is where we play house music. So it's four on the floor pretty much all night, which is great because it's kind of like a bottle service rooftop lounge club, really cool.
Hmm.
And he'll comment. He's like, every time you start playing, it's just like there's just like this buzz in the air. Like everyone just starts like socializing. Yeah, like
Making people mingle, you know?
yeah, and that like I think that was a bit interesting to them because they all kind of came from like an EDM, like high energy, and also like a bar scene, high energy EDM, and like also like a college high energy EDM
Hmm.
thing. And I think when I was playing these types of music in these types of ways, and it was like creating like a buzzing social effect, I think at first they were caught off guard because it doesn't look the same as like when people are like losing their minds, right?
Yeah.
But when you start really hitting that pocket hard, it's like everybody's having a really, really good time and can be
Yeah.
doing whatever, and people do talk. But people are talking and mingling, but no one's really standing still.
Yeah.
Everyone's,
Yeah.
to the bar, to the very back where people are smoking cigarettes, to like up front. And up front, people do like love to jump around and dance like a little bit more with like full body like maybe jumping or what have you, but like
Right.
I'm not trying to make people like lose their minds or anything. I'm trying to like just kind of create this like energy to the point where like if I played a song that was like not like that, I because I've done it a couple times that people don't notice it. They
Hmm.
do. I can tell they do because I can tell the subconscious shift in energy in the air. As we've done this, I've like definitely noted like and gotten better every time, and you get better by like I don't want to say making mistakes, but like doing things you would do differently next time. And
Hmm.
I've definitely done things where I could tell like it's a slight shift in
Yeah.
energy, but I could tell. And like I feel like even though they might not be super aware of it, I think they're definitely in tune with it. And I think people who are even outside of the building can like feel that stuff. Like if people are outside having a conversation, smoking cigarettes, they can definitely like tell when something has slightly changed inside just based
Hmm.
off like the vibrations. And it's
It's like,
not
hey,
just
hey,
like
we got to get back in there.
yeah, and it's interesting like kind of it's like a large responsibility too when you think about that, like how like if you start doing stuff that like is I don't want to say weird, but like creating a like the buzz is not fluid, Like you can literally, like people will start, like it's just like it's a weird energy that creates weird energy, and like
Yeah. When
it's
maybe they're like not sure what you want them to do or something,
yeah, or like even someone's conversation could go sour if like you pick the wrong, or the conversation can get really good if you like, if you're like murdering it for your whole
Yeah.
set, it's like people
Like
pick up.
if they have to address it, that could be good or bad, right?
Yeah, well, no, I think it's what I'm talking about is like past, like it's under the point of addressing that's the DJ's responsibility at all for whatever is going on.
Yeah, that kind of like you said, like when people like to like go crazy and stuff, there's only so long you can do that. Like you're saying you want to make this sustainable, vibing energy that people can ride all through the night, no matter what they're doing.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
it's electric, right? It's just like a current that's running through everybody that night.
Definitely. So
Mhm.
that's like and I think the best DJs get that that's kind of the craft. And I think that's why DJing, like obviously at the club, there's a technical aspect to it, but the real craft of DJing is literally putting a song on and then putting another song on and then putting another song on. Like the most basic version of it would be like if you had one turntable
Mhm.
and each time the song or the record was over, you pick a different record or a different side and you just, do it in a way, and like every
Mhm.
little cadence about that process, you can start to like pay attention to, like, how to, line up the track right and get, pick the right track, or like if you're using an actual record, like turning the sound off
Mhm.
before you put the
Oh
needle
yeah, yeah,
on and then like putting
yeah.
the sound back on, like little tiny smooth, like those were like the technical aspects start to come into play, but the real, basics of it is literally just picking the next song. Like that's to
Yeah,
me
like
that
not only the bookends, but like just the order you go in and stuff, and like what backs up to what is, probably so impactful, or at least can be,
hmm
because you don't
Oh
want to like
yeah.
you want to give anybody a straight banger and then put something on that's like the sonic equivalent of like Kenny Loggins or something. You know what I mean? So
Totally, totally. Like people will always ask me, like, or tell me, like, I'm getting into DJing. I'm getting into DJing. Like, what should I do? And like, I've been trying to like get better at saying like, just get good at like knowing what the next song to play is wherever you are. Like,
mhm.
I had a friend's birthday over summer, or no, it was not over summer. I don't know. Maybe it was like over the fall. I think maybe it was like in October or something.
Mhm.
It's still nice in Austin, and it was a birthday party at the park at Zilker, famous park. Like group of us, people playing volleyball. Kind of showed up a little late, like maybe an hour late, and brought my dog. Super chill. People just like sitting around a blanket, like
Shout out
hanging
to
out.
Rosie.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Rosa, chilling. And like I could tell there was like a speaker playing, and I could tell it was just like random ass stuff, and like it was a smaller speaker, and I was like, where's this music coming from? And she's like, oh, it's my speaker. You want to connect? And I was like, nah, I brought my own. And like, cause
You're
I,
like, I need to see who's in charge here.
yeah, I wanted to make a clean transition of
Right.
DJs, and you know, she was like, no one's playing. Like this is just like a random playlist, and that's like total cue that if there's like and also like Chris was there, and like you got some of the best DJs in Texas, like we're noticed, like we can make it better, what I mean, in anything. So right away, like I put on um what is his name, Lyle Lovett. I think
Okay.
he's a Texas
Mhm.
artist, and like I put on one of his albums for like maybe 20 minutes just to like clear the air. Like I'm just like I'm putting this on from the top. I didn't even say anything. I put it on, and like someone noticed right away. They're like, "Oh, I love this song." Or like my dad listens to this, or something like. But it was just nice, and it had like a
Yeah.
nice vibe and ambience, and it kind of, the sound of the speaker was pleasant, and like kind of started creating that buzz, and like just cleared the air a bit.
Like
People
a
played
nice
volleyball.
palate cleanser or something.
Exactly, exactly. And then like when that was over, I just started playing like bangers, like, but like 2000s hip hop kind of stuff, like Ashanti or something. Like I played, like, started playing. I can't. I wish I knew exactly what I was playing, but like, kind of throwing it back to that kind of era, and like it was just smacking. But no one's like, people are dancing to it without realizing that they're dancing to it, kind of thing.
That's
And
kind of the best form, right? You don't want to have to feel to be forced to it. It should just like kind of, start moving through you or something.
Like people are like singing along with key things, but might be like just mouthing it. It was like mostly girls, so like they were all having a great time. And like when my speaker died, and my friend was like, "Killer set." I was like, "Thank you."
High praise.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. It's definitely a thing. It's the same thing. You're like literally cruising on your phone and queuing up tracks, because Spotify, if you swipe right, it will add it to the queue. So you just like build queues up, and you don't go too far ahead, because you kind of want to read how things feel, or maybe you want to but it's interesting. So I try to eventually I want to do residencies where, like, instead of touring, I'll just go and play Denver 4 times a year, and they'll all be announced at the same time, and I'll play from 10 or 11 o'clock till close.
Yeah, that'd be badass.
Yeah, so I'll do like these longer, like 3 or 4 hour sets, and like you'll go to the club.
And it gives you this like consistency, so they can like, oh, we missed him. He's coming back in a couple months. Don't worry, or something. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. I also want to do it with metal too. I want to do like a metal night, because like with this like reset with live entertainment, and like having Texas be like kind of the front runner of like things being active, like the way we've been able to kind of do things was like table service. So you'd have to like some clubs would sell like tables, and it was strictly bottle service, table service. So like you'd have to get like, groups of people together, and they'd buy a table, and it would come with alcohol, and it was
right.
Like
instead of a cover, they just like have that as the incentive or something.
Yeah, and it was a true vibe. Like like I'm really gonna miss when, like, I mean, I can't wait for like our capacity to be at full, but every single week when we play, I'm like, I absolutely love this. And this is a vibe that, I think everybody's really gonna miss. And, anytime someone like goes like, "Oh, I can't wait to see it like this," I'm like, yeah, but definitely be grateful for how awesome this kind of energy is in here with like you're never going to see these venues with these lineups, like with this type of music and like this type of vibe in the air. Like you definitely got to switch the way you're thinking about it and appreciate it. And but so I was inspired by that, and I was like, oh, I want to do a metal night where it's like, who knows how it's going to actually play out, but I basically want to like go to a club and DJ, but only play metal and alternative music. They kind of do that with emo night. That's a thing, and they play like emo and alternative music and whatnot. But I think it would be great with metal. And
oh, for sure, man.
It'd be like live Disfiguring the podcast, but more like a little bit more energy. Like it wouldn't be like I'm talking over everything. It'd be like I'd be more of an MC than a commentator.
Yeah. And hopefully longer than 30 minutes, too.
Yeah, I think it'd be all night, And I was thinking there's a bunch of ways you can do it. Like you could, if it's open from 10 to 2, you could like have a band maybe in the middle, or like maybe, they could do something that switches it up perhaps.
Or even just like ramp it up. Like, you start from maybe some old man's child, strapping young lad, more accessible, I'm gonna say that, in the nicest way possible, and then by 2 a.m. you got them on gore noise or some shit, you know what I mean? So just gotta like break them into like some subgenres a little more gently than just like, all right, we're gonna start off with some Despised Icon, you know what I mean? So like
100%. I think I would round that thing out really well. Like I'd play a lot of rock, I'd play a lot of alternative music, I'd for sure like play death metal and stuff. I
Then
think
you
my
slip something
taste.
in there almost as like a couple skate. You're like, all right, we're gonna slow it down a little bit.
Yeah,
I could definitely see that.
yeah. I mean, yeah, you can play it. I don't know. I think I could do it pretty well, and I'd want to do it like in Texas, and kind of like maybe make it a monthly, so I could like practice it and get really good at it. Because
Mhm.
I think going into it, I'll have a lot of like practice and intention with it, but once you start doing it, it's like you really get to just see that action. And if you just keep it up, I think it'll be cool. Like I don't know, maybe do it like once in once in Dallas. I don't have the spot. I don't know if it should be like because Austin's kind of central. Like if it was once a month and it was like done well and at the right venue and stuff, I think people would be keen to travel to that
Yeah,
from Texas. Like I know Dallas is 3 hours out. San Antonio is only 1 hour out, and there's a big
yeah,
metal population down there. Like
yeah.
big
And I mean,
metal.
and in Dallas too. I mean, like I can't really speak for San Antonio, but I mean, even just like last year or so, like there was just a lot of bands that were coming out of Texas, or even like bands I was learning about that were from Texas. I didn't even know, so or didn't know
Hmm.
that they were from Texas. So yeah, it's definitely like I mean, always been a big thing in Texas, I think. But yeah, it's definitely like on the rise again. I feel like.
Definitely,
Mhm.
definitely. So maybe, yeah, I'll probably either pick Dallas or Austin. You know, it as far
Maybe
as
have you ever spent time in Denton? I mean, Denton is a really big. Well, I mean, at least when I went to school, they're like also a lot of big fans of metal. I used to go to house shows like all the time, just a random person's house. They'd shove three bands in there. Some of the most fun nights of my whole life, man. Just people's places getting like destroyed, just because of like they're filling them to capacity, and
mm,
capacity being like only 20, 30 people, but in these like small apartments and the houses near the dorms and stuff. It was just such a good energy, like really cool.
yeah, yeah, like Dallas could even pull from Oklahoma, maybe.
Mhm.
People from Oklahoma City would for sure. You know,
Yeah,
if after a
it's not too
while,
far.
yeah, and like people would, I want it to be like something people would make a night of. Like they want to get there early, and it would be like, it'd basically be like you're going to a club, but it also kind of feel like you're going to a bar, but it would
and
also kind
and
of feel like you're
kind of
going
a
to a
concert.
show.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I can
and
definitely see that.
yeah, I think I could build because I don't think that's a really. I think that vibe exists maybe like I know there's metal nights and people play like certain types of metal at certain types of bars, but I think I could promote it well too. And I think kind of because Disfiguring the Goddess doesn't do live stuff, I think like well right now it doesn't. I think it would be like I think it could be like a cool way to like, Disfiguring the Goddess is hosting a metal night and like, kind of
Make it like a calendar item. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah. And then like, especially with like also doing Disfiguring the podcast, um, which I'm gonna probably double down on pretty here. I kind of fixed a workflow issue. And
mhm.
it was taking me too long to like make an episode for how short they were. And I was like, this needs to
Mhm.
be done quicker. Like, I need to like I'm basically getting a capture card for my webcam and I'm gonna like use OBS but with a nicer camera.
Mhm.
So it'll have the vibe, but it'll be quick. Like I could just
Yeah.
do it live and then upload it. Where now I like record it and record the audio and then edit it together and then put it up. And I just like it works, but like
A
for a 30-minute
little too
episode,
taxing.
yeah, it took me like 2 hours to like wait for things to like upload and process and stuff. And like OBS will spit me a file out that I can upload straight to YouTube and just call it good, And
That's badass. I can't
that's
wait to like be a little more set up too. Like I'm literally this is like since January 6th, I think. I just like had this idea and started it up. So and was like shocked at how many bands were just like, yes, like we want to do this. I was just like, thank you. I was like almost overwhelmed, So I was like, I probably should have waited to schedule some of these until I got a better setup. But I was like, you know what? No. And really like you saying the learn by doing thing was just like so inspirational, like our first email exchange. Yeah, thank you. For those who don't know, like Cameron was just like really inspirational, so friendly, and so just like, man, don't even worry about it. I think he even said something about like, just do it and ask for forgiveness instead of just like asking permission. And I was just like, I'm gonna do it, man. So I really can't thank you enough for that, dude.
It's my pleasure. I'm super stoked to contribute, and that's especially like that way of thinking.
Yeah,
It's like you can't really screw it up. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree. I
yeah,
agree, and it can only go up from there. So
definitely. That's how it's gonna. That's how things happen. It's
I agree.
no one makes awesome things happen by pampering everything and putting off everything to make things
Yeah,
perfect.
you,
It's
you
always
gotta
a
you gotta
disaster.
make your own luck. You gotta make your own openings. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
speaking of opening, this is my last opening because we're at 2:59 and it'll cut off at 3 minutes. So,
Oh
dude, this
damn.
this is a vibe, or sorry, at 3 hours. Like this is a vibe that I'm gonna miss, dude. It was so good talking to you. I can't wait to have you on again. I cannot wait to hear Soothe 2.0. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to hear this 2015 one that I've been waiting for. I mean, I'm so excited, dude. I'm so excited for everything that you're doing. So don't
Thanks,
stop,
man.
keep slamming it. And I mean, it's just such a pleasure, dude. Like, truthfully, I mean, such a big fan, like, well before this podcast for almost 10 years, dude. Think about that. So
How
it's insane,
cool.
man. It's insane. You're
What a good
crushing it, dude.
time. It's a real pleasure for me. Definitely. It was just like fantastic, fantastic conversation. Couldn't,
Yeah, dude.
it's
I agree.
awesome.
It's easily my longest episode. Well, thank you so much again to Cameron Argon. I'll be sure to introduce you in the beginning, like I forgot to, and I'll shout out all your socials. Okay, bro?
It's all good, man. I think we just got it going. We made sure the mics are on, and that's all that matters.
That's true. All right, man. Well, have an excellent fucking night, dude. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
You too, man.
All
Benjamin,
right.
real pleasure.
Yeah,
Take
nice to
care.
meet you too, man. All right, have a
Yeah,
good
I'm
night.
around. We're connected.
Dude, I'll be watching you regardless. So,
Good stuff.
all
All
right,
right.
man. I'll be
Peace.
slamming some soothe, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Definitely. Peace.
All right, have a good night.
You too.